Neon light seeped into the rain like bloodshot threads and hit the outer walls of the tall apartment buildings, making a tiny sizzling sound. The air is filled with the damp smell of rust, the urban decay washed away by heavy rains. Outside the police cordon, flashing police lights illuminated the faces of onlookers, who murmured with fear and hungry curiosity in their eyes. This is not an ordinary murder, this is virtual reality, that damn VR game, once again tearing the boundaries of reality. Inspector Jiang Chen stood next to the corpse, holding the report sheet tightly in his rough hands, with a victor's sneer etched on his face. His voice was like sandpaper, echoing in the cramped apartment bedroom. Look, Li Xiu, this case is closed. The footprint size is size 42, which perfectly matches Lin Fan's shoe size. Blood type A, and the blood stains taken at the scene were verified by DNA comparison. Ye Zhi was strangled to death in the game, and the real body appeared at the same time, and the time was exactly right. The ironclad evidence is there, your VR nonsense, please save it. The air in the room was as stagnant as a tomb, and the air conditioner in the corner hummed, spitting out icy mist. Ye Zhi's body was curled up in a pool of blood. A deep purple mark on his neck was like a devil's fingerprint. His eyes were wide open, and the illusory despair in the game seemed to still remain in his pupils. On the floor, blood formed a meandering river, and footprints were clearly visible, the pattern of a man's soles trampled on the blood stains, dragging a ferocious trajectory. The surrounding police officers lowered their heads and were busy. Some people vomited softly. The sour smell of stomach acid mixed with blood made the whole space even more depressing. Li Xiu opened the door, raindrops dripped from his windbreaker and hit the threshold. His eyes were as calm as a VR scanner, scanning every detail of the scene. Jiang Chen turned around, frowned, and his sarcastic tone deepened. The genius detective is here. Don't tell me that you are going to say that this is a virtual and real synchronization failure. The game company has clarified that the brain-computer interface is absolutely safe, and death is just a simulation. The police officers whispered, and someone whispered in agreement, Inspector Jiang is right. When Lin Fan was arrested, he was still clamoring for an alibi. Who believes it? The video shows that he was killing monsters in another area while gaming. Li Xiu ignored it, squatted down, put on the VR glasses simulator, and touched the edge of the footprints with his fingers. The blood stains were still warm and sticky to the touch, and it was as if Ye Zhi's last struggle could be felt on her fingertips. He murmured in a low voice, the synchronization rate is 99.87%. The moment of strangulation in the game, the heartbeat stopped in real life. Perfect, so perfect. Jiang Chen sneered and crossed his arms, did you hear that? This kid is still talking to himself. We have impounded Lin Fan's shoes, and the patterns are exactly the same. The blood type report is here, type A positive, Ye Zhi's blood is mixed with the murderer's sweat. The case is put in the folder, you go back to your laboratory to play games. Jiang Chen's face darkened, and he slammed the table, causing small splashes of blood to appear in the pool. Evidence. No evidence is nonsense. Footprints, blood types, synchronized corpses, this is irrefutable evidence. Lin Fan is Ye Zhi's gaming friend, with an obvious motive, killing for love. Don't think that just because you are a VR expert, you can confuse right and wrong. The police officers nodded like they were talking, and a young policeman, the police officer, couldn't help but interject, yes, Sir Li, your last case was just luck. Don't be too pushy this time. Has Lin Fan been sued? He is still complaining about injustice in the detention center. The ridicule came like a tide, and Li Xiu's windbreaker bulged slightly in the cold wind. He felt the familiar pressure, everyone was waiting for him to make a fool of himself, waiting for him to be crushed by the irrefutable evidence of reality. The eyes of the surrounding police officers became playful, and some even let out low laughter. The air was filled with contempt for Li Xiu. The sound of rain hitting the window pane, like the scraping of countless fingernails, intensified the suffocating atmosphere. Li Xiu stood up, took off his glasses, and locked eyes with Jiang Chen. "Inspector, do you believe the rumors of virtual reality? The brain-computer interface not only simulates, but can also kill. If the player dies in the game, the reality will die as well. But Lin Fan has an alibi. The game server records that he was in a virtual city hundreds of kilometers away, piking a boss, live broadcast to thousands of people." But Li Xiu just smiled slightly, started the handheld terminal, and the blue light projected a holographic image, Ye Zhi's game corpse, synchronized strangulation marks, and footprints superimposed on reality. "Let's play the game again," he said, his tone as calm as dead water. Jiang Chen widened his eyes, hesitated for a moment, and finally nodded. "Okay, prove your genius. But if you don't find out, don't get in the way anymore." Instantly, the brain-computer interface buzzed into action. Li Xiu's consciousness fell into the virtual and real world, and the world was distorted into boundless mist. The game hall was cold and damp, the walls pulsating like living things, and there were faint echoes of distant screams. Ye Zhi's death scene reappears, a virtual mansion, candlelight flickers, and the sweet smell of rotting roses floats in the air. On the floor, the bloody footprints were bright red and dazzling, size 42, and the texture was as realistic as reality. Li Xiu squatted down and zoomed in to scan. The data flow was like a silver snake swimming in his field of vision. Jiang Chen's virtual projection followed and rudely pushed away the NPC passerby. "Look, it's exactly the same. Lin Fan's ID is recorded nearby." Other police officers' projections also rushed in, their faces pale in the candlelight, whispering, "This game is too real, the smell of blood makes me want to vomit." A female police officer covered her mouth and said in a trembling voice, "Sir Li, this footprint can't be wrong, right?" Li Xiu didn't answer, just touched the blood stain with his finger, and extracted the data. Blood type A, matches Lin Fan's medical examination report. The synchronization rate is perfect. The pressure was overwhelming, and Jiang Chen laughed. "Do you admit it? Your reasoning is nonsense." The police officers laughed, the virtual wind ruffled their hair, and the taunts sounded like ghosts crying and wolves howling. In Li Xiu's field of vision, the data flickered with something strange, the pixel particles at the edge of the footprints, and the color spectrum of the blood stains shifted by 0.02 nanometers. Too subtle, too obscure. His heartbeat quickened, he started depth analysis, and the world slowed down. The depth of the indentations of the footprints did not match Lin Fan's weight, the blood type spectrum showed traces of AI synthesis at a frequency of 0.1%. "Wait." Li Xiu whispered, his voice echoing like thunder in the virtual space. Jiang Chen's laughter stopped abruptly. "What?" Li Xiu turned around and enlarged the footprints holographically. "The sizes match, size 42. But look here, the pressure distribution looks like a static model rendered by AI, not a real stampede. The blood type A is correct, but the synthetic timestamp is delayed by the first 5 seconds. Lin Fan's alibi is not a loophole, it is a flaw in the ironclad evidence." Jiang Chen's virtual figure froze, his eyes widened like bells, and his mouth opened wide but no sound came out. The surrounding police officers gasped, and the projection of a police officer retreated tremblingly. "Oh my God, the data has been tampered with? Is this a hacker?" The female police officer's voice trembled, with admiration and fear. "Sir Li, how did you see it? We all thought it was ironclad." The ridicule turned to dead silence, and the virtual candle suddenly stretched its shadow, as if the entire game was trembling. In reality, when Li Xiu took off his glasses, the smell of blood in the apartment hit his face. Jiang Chen's face was ashen and sweat was pouring from his forehead. "It's impossible, the company said the system is absolutely safe." Li Xiu's eyes were like daggers. "Safe? The rumors are not groundless. The real murder story started with Ye Zhi. Lin Fan is not the murderer, he is the framed informant. Now, the question is, who can forge irrefutable VR evidence without leaving any trace of absence?" The rain pierced his skin like countless ice needles. Li Xiu shook off the water droplets on his windbreaker and turned to face Jiang Chen. The air in the apartment bedroom was still thick, and the smell of blood was mixed with the nervous sweat of the police officers. Thunder was rolling outside the window, like a beast roaring. Jiang Chen's face was distorted under the blue light of the police lights, and veins popped out on his forehead. He punched the wall hard, causing the wallpaper to peel off and shatter, and dust filling his nose. "You kid, data forgery. To put it lightly. The company's server is military grade, who the hell can hack into it?" His voice was as hoarse as a worn tape. The police officers exchanged glances, and someone murmured in a low voice, "Inspector Jiang is crazy, Sir Li has gone too far this time." A young police officer wiped the sweat from his forehead and echoed in a trembling voice, "Yes, the blood type of the footprints is still there, double confirmed by the laboratory. We personally compared Lin Fan's shoes, and the patterns are exactly the same. The aftermath of the ridicule has not dissipated, and there is still a joke in their eyes, as if Li Xiu's discovery is just a short-lived hallucination." Li Xiu did not get angry, but calmly scanned the crowd. The handheld terminal buzzed and projected the pressure distribution map of the footprints, the red-hot zone shifted, and the static traces rendered by AI were exposed like spider silk. Traditional evidence. "Inspector, you ignored the delay in the synchronization of reality and fiction. Go to the detention center and interrogate Lin Fan. He is not the murderer, he is the key." Outside, thunder boomed and rain whipped against the glass. Lin Fan in the detention center was staring at the night sky through the bars, his eyes flashing with despair and expectation. In the distance, the game company's server building was brightly lit, a dark shadow flashed in the control room, the keyboard tapping sounded like a heartbeat, and the data flow quietly tampered with another murder case. Li Xiu opened the window, and the rain hit his face, which was biting and cold. He murmured, "The irrefutable evidence is shattered. The murderer is hidden in the double murder of reality and fiction." Behind him, Jiang Chen's breathing became heavier and heavier, and the police officer's eyes changed from contempt to shock. The genius had awakened. Jiang Chen stared, his chest heaving violently, and the sound of rain hitting the window sill was like a war drum, intensifying the tension. Interrogation. Footprint number 42, his. Blood type A, his. The alibi is a game record, and the server can also be forged. He turned to the police officers and shouted, "Who approves of this lunatic?" Silence was like a tomb. The female police officer lowered her head and bit her lip, her admiration turned to hesitation, others whispered, "What if it's wrong?" The inspector's face. The pressure was pouring like a torrential rain, and Li Xiu felt the familiar suffocation. Everyone was waiting for him to stumble, waiting for the ironclad evidence to come back. "We'll see." Li Xiu said this and pushed the door open. Jiang Chen cursed and followed. The police car sped through the rain, its tires making a popping sound as it crushed the puddles. The lights in the detention center were as dim as a will-o'-the-wisp, the iron gate creaked open, and the air was filled with the smell of mold, rot and urine. Lin Fan was handcuffed to the iron chair in the interrogation room. His face was as pale as paper and his eyes were sunken. There was a glimmer of light as he stared at Li Xiu. "You, finally believe me?" His voice was dry, his Adam's apple rolled, and the water pipe in the corner was ticking and leaking, like a countdown clock. The light bulb in the interrogation room flickered, casting a long shadow, as if Lin Fan's shadow was struggling. Li Xiu sat across from him, started the terminal, and holographically projected Ye Zhi's corpse. "Tell me the details. What mission is she investigating?" Lin Fan gasped, sweat beads sliding down the bridge of his nose, and dripping on the table. "Maze of Shadows, officially said to be an Easter egg, but there are traces of hackers in it. The company's top management ID, Shadow Master, frequently comes in and out. Ye Zhi gave me a screenshot. The brain-computer interface is overclocked, and the real heart stops when the player dies. She said, this is a profit-making conspiracy, the rich pay to experience the pleasure of real killing." Jiang Chen sneered, smashed the table with his fists, causing the water glass to overturn, and the tea mixed with blood spread, nonsense. Where is the evidence? Your absence, the server record can be changed. The guard whispered outside, there is something wrong with this kid's eyes, is he the murderer? Under great pressure, Lin Fan lowered his head, and his voice trembled, I will prove it to you, enter the game. Li Xiu nodded, and everyone put on the brain-computer interface. The buzzing sound was like a swarm of bees rushing towards their faces, and their consciousness fell into the virtual and real world. The world is distorted, and the scene of Ye Zhi's death appears in the mist, a virtual mansion, candlelight swaying and elongating ghost shadows, rose petals rotting and falling, and the sweet smell penetrates the nose. The bloody footprints on the floor were hideous, the 42-yard line was clear, and the neck strangulation marks were purple and black. Li Xiu restarted the simulation and went back in time. Ye Zhi's back was to the door, the murderer rushed out from behind, his hands were like iron pliers to strangle her neck, she struggled, kicked over the candlestick, blood was spattered, and footprints were trampled out, perfectly synchronized with reality. Jiang Chen's virtual projection laughed, and the voice echoed like thunder, look. The murderer is 185 centimeters tall and weighs 80 kilograms. Lin Fan's data matches. The blood stains are type A, his sweat. The projections of the surrounding police officers poured in, and the female police officer covered her nose and trembled, it's so real, the neck strangulation marks get, Li sir, these footprints are correct. Lin Fan's projection appeared, his face was ashen, and he started the absence demonstration. The screen switched to a virtual imperial capital hundreds of kilometers away, a live broadcast square with thousands of people, a huge crowd, the boss roared to the sky, and flames spewed scorching air waves. Lin Fan's ID shone brightly, and he interacted with hundreds of people. The chat record scrolled like a waterfall, boss, replenish blood. Lin Fan is invincible. The server timestamp proved it irrefutable, at the moment of death, he was leaping up to slay the dragon's tail, witnessed by thousands of people. Jiang Chen kicked the chair away, causing sawdust to fly, and shouted, stop talking nonsense. Ye Zhi is your friend, the motive for murder is love. In the game, you two teamed up to complete hidden missions, but in reality she died, and your footprints and blood types all match. Lin Fan's body trembled, the iron cuffs jingled, and his eyes were desperate, I didn't kill her. I was piking in the virtual imperial capital that day. Boss, thousands of people live broadcast, server records are irrefutable. Ye Zhi, she was exploring the company's hidden mission recently, and she said that she discovered the real killing mode, and the game company's executives were testing deadly brain waves, and then, she died. In reality, the lights in the interrogation room were dazzling, Li Xiu took off his glasses, the terminal dinged, and a new message popped up, Shen Qingqing's encrypted communication. On the screen, a projection of a black-haired woman appeared, her eyes as sharp as knives, and the background was a rain of flashing codes. Li Xiu, I am Shen Qingqing, a hacker. I heard that you are targeting virtual reality. Data forgery. Easy. AI footprints are static renderings, and the blood type spectrum is synthesized with a 0.1% delay. I can prove it. Lin Fan's live broadcast is real, and the server's underlying logs are not tampered with. But the ironclad evidence still points to him, the shoe size and blood type match reality, and the game is just a cover. The voice was cold and electrified, Jiang Chen glared, who? Hacker. Get out. Shen Qingqing sneered, and pointed his projection finger, Inspector, traditional evidence. Comparing the real shoe patterns with the game, 99.99% match, but the pressure distribution is wrong, the murderer weighs 85 kilograms, Lin Fan 80 kilograms. Give me server permissions, and I will invade and dig up the shady story. Jiang Chen blushed and shouted, invasion. Illegal. We have buttoned up Lin Fan's shoes, and the blood type medical test is correct. He turned to the police, who believes this woman? The police officers hesitated, and the fat police officer whispered, Sir Li's analysis is accurate, live broadcast of thousands of witnesses. The female police officer nodded, her eyes flashed with admiration. Miss Shen is right, there is something wrong with the data. The pressure reversed, Jiang Chen panted like an ox, and his fists turned white. Li Xiu stood up and locked eyes with Lin Fan. You are innocent and your alibi is irrefutable. The live broadcast has been verified. Shen Qingqing will dig up the server logs. Lin Fan's tears flashed and the iron cuffs trembled. Thank you, Ye Zhi said before he died. Double kill situation between virtual and real, the murderer hides in two realms. Jiang Chen's projection froze, and his mouth opened slightly. Is this live broadcast real? The server is double encrypted. The policeman gasped, and a fat police projection rubbed his eyes, his voice trembling. Thousands of people witnessed it, it is impossible to fake it. Lin Fan is innocent. The female police officer turned to Li Xiu with adoring eyes. Sir, you said it earlier, but the blood type of the footprint still refers to him. The ridicule evaporated, the virtual wind ruffled the hair, the candlelight flickered, and the walls of the mansion pulsated like a heart. Lin Fan gasped, I am innocent, but who framed me? Ye Zhi said that the Shadow Master can change the data. But the blood type of the footprints was still like a thorn, and the laboratory report projection flickered, type 42, which perfectly matched Lin Fan's actual data. Jiang Chen grasped this point and sneered, innocent. Your DNA is on the blood stains on the shoes. Forgery in the game does not mean innocence in reality. The policeman's eyes were shaken, and someone murmured, yes, irrefutable evidence of reality. Shen Qingqing said before the projection faded away, DNA can be implanted in shoes, blood-type synthesis spray. Give me time. Li Xiu's heartbeat accelerated, and the terminal heated his palms. He was determined to invade the game system, sneak in personally, and tear open the veil of reality and reality. Outside the door of the interrogation room, the rain became heavier, and thunder and lightning tore through the night sky. Lin Fan was untied, rubbed his wrists, and whispered, be careful of the Shadow Master. Jiang Chen slammed the door and walked out, his back stiff, and the police officers surrounded Li Xiu. The fat police officer's voice trembled, Sir, Li, amazing. How can 1,000 people live broadcast prove it so quickly? The female police officer blushed, you are a genius. We wrongly blame Lin Fan. Shocked like a tide, Li Xiu pushed them away. Rain poured down the stairs, and he smelled the smell of burnt oil from the server building in the distance. The rain hit Li Xiu on the face like a whip. He stepped on the accelerator, and the police car's tires sprayed water in the puddle at the entrance of the detention center, splashing Jiang Chen's pants with mud. In the rearview mirror, Lin Fan's figure was blurred. He rubbed his wrists and chased after him. His shout was swallowed up by the thunder, Sir Li, be careful of the Shadow Master. Jiang Chen was breathing heavily in the passenger seat, and his fist hit his thigh. There was a muffled sound, and the car was filled with the smell of tobacco and wet dog. Invade the server. Li Xiu, you are fucking crazy. Military-grade firewall, who is the hacker Shen Qingqing? If it fails, the task force will be completely destroyed. His eyes were bloodshot under the green light of the dashboard, and his voice was like sandpaper. Li Xiu didn't look back. The handheld terminal was connected to Shen Qingqing, and the screen flashed with codes like a green snake swimming away. Clear, open the channel. Target, Ye Zhi's death server node, reproduced the footprint track. Her echo was crisp and charged, blasting from the speaker, in position, triple dark network springboard. Static rendering of footprint data, synthesis of blood type spectrum, follow me, 10-second countdown. Lightning outside the car tore through the sky, illuminating the steel outline of the game company building in the distance, like the mouth of a giant beast. The fat police officer gripped the seat tightly in the back seat, sweat dripped, and smelled the sour odor under his armpits. Sir Li, this rain, what if there is an alarm in the server room? The female police officer bit her lip, her eyes wandering. Inspector Jiang is right, the media is watching, the DNA of Lin Fan's shoes is still in the laboratory. The ridicule came like raindrops. Jiang Chen snorted, yes, Lin Fan's clone technique. What does a game master do? Arrest him and end this absurdity. A buzzing sound entered their minds, and Li Xiu, Jiang Chen and the two police officers fell into the virtual and real world. The world is turned upside down, and the virtual mansion reappears. Candlelight sticks out, the wallpaper has mildew spots like blood tumors, and the air is sweet and smells of rotting meat, straight into the nose. Ye Zhi's body was lying on the ground, with purple and swollen neck strangulation marks like a python. 42-yard footprints snaked from the bed to the door. The blood stains were spattered accurately in a shape, and the depth of each step was like art. The projection of Shenqingqing's black hair appeared, she made imaginary strokes with her fingers, and the server logs poured out like a waterfall. The invasion was successful, the trajectory was reproduced. Look, the murderer sneaked in from the back door, and Ye Zhi kicked the candlestick when he was strangled, and blood came out from the footprints. The pressure was completely distributed, beautiful, extending 5 meters to the exit, without any gaps. The scene simulates operation, an invisible figure emerges, hands clamping down on the throat. Ye Zhi struggles, kicks over the metal candlestick, a loud clanking sound echoes, blood stains spatter, and the soles of the shoes are crushed into a ferocious arc. Jiang Chen's projection laughed, and the sound exploded like thunder, causing the candlelight to flicker wildly. Look at this trajectory, Lin Fan. Height 185 centimeters, stride length 0.8 meters, his game data. Blood type spray angle, 85-degree elevation angle, he came from the imperial capital, teleport back. The fat police officer rubbed his eyes and his voice trembled, it's so true. The edges of the footprints are rough and the blood stains are solidified and can be touched. Lin Fan's clone. Impossible, there is no record on the server. The female police officer covered her mouth and turned pale. Li Sir, this time, the evidence is seamless and the DNA match is 99.99%. Did we mistakenly believe in the live broadcast? The pressure was like the walls of the mansion shrinking, the shadow stretched and swallowed everyone. Shenqingqing's projection frowned, wait, slight difference. AI-generated traces, edge pixel offset 0.02%, static rendering, non-dynamic stamping. But Jiang Chen didn't listen, the projection rushed towards Lin Fan's virtual model and shouted, fantasy. Arrest Lin Fan, real Xiu blood DNA is in hand. Li Xiu stood still, the terminal heated his palms, and with his fingers flying, he called up the scan of Lin Fan's real shoes, the size 42 leather boots seized by the laboratory. They were stained with blood, and the patterns matched but, the depth did not match. Screen overlay, the indentation of the game's footprint is 4.2 centimeters, while the simulated tread of real shoes is only 3.8 centimeters, weight difference. Lin Fan 80 kilograms, murderer 85 kilograms. Proof of footprint depth, fake. He gave an order, Shenqingqing's code poured in like a flood, the server trembled, the floor of the mansion pulsated, the footprint trajectory was distorted, the red-hot zone shifted, and the cracks in the AI rendering exploded like a spider web. Blood stain spectrum flickers, 0.1% synthetic delayed exposure, Type A data is implanted from Type B base. Jiang Chen's projection froze, his mouth opened in an O shape, and his eyes bulged out as if they were about to fall off. This, depth does not match. Server log, tampering. The fat police projection's legs softened, and he knelt down, his voice trembling like a leaf, oh my god. Sir Li, how did you tell? We personally tested the shoes, and they can't weigh more than 4.2 centimeters. The female police officer screamed, holding her head with both hands, tears mixed with virtual sweat, Lin Fan is innocent. Thousands of people broadcast the shoes deeper, double proof. Inspector Jiang, we are blind. Shenqingqing projected and laughed, pointing to Jiang Chen, Inspector, the traditional evidence. The actual shoe pattern is correct, but the pressure is misaligned by 0.4 kilograms per square centimeter. Hackers implanted DNA spray, blood type synthesis, the handiwork of the film owner. Lin Fan's projection flashed, and he teleported from the imperial capital, his eyes burning. "Li Sir, I am free." In reality, the light bulbs in the interrogation room burst and sparks flew everywhere. Everyone took off their computers and their faces turned red. Jiang Chen was panting like an ox, hitting the table with his fist, sawdust flying into his eyes. He rubbed his face and growled, "I was wrong. Where is the media? They are still broadcasting Lin Fan's murderer." Li Xiu's terminal beeped, and the news feed was like a bomb. The live broadcast screen cut in, and the reporter shouted at the top of his lungs, "Urgent! Lin Fan's suspicion has been cleared." Genius detective Li Xiu compared the depth of his shoes, and his weight does not match 85 kilograms. The game's footprints are forged by AI, and the police are shocked. Outside the police car, the media flashlights poured down like a torrential rain, reporters swarmed, and microphones poked Jiang Chen's face. "Inspector, the irrefutable evidence is shattered. Lose your face." Jiang Chen's back was stiff, with sweat pouring from his forehead. He turned around and pushed away the crowd, whimpering and cursing, "Damn it. Li Xiu, you win." The fat police officer knelt down and licked him in admiration. "Sir Li, the media has gone crazy. We are following the wrong person." The female police officer crossed her arms with red eyes. "You are a legend. Inspector Jiang, admit it." The handheld terminal vibrated, and an anonymous message jumped out, with red fonts like blood. "The truth lies in the virtual and real double kill game. Don't believe it at face value, the movie owner is targeting you. Ghost." Li Xiu's pupils shrank. In the sound of rain, the dark shadow of the game company flashed across the control room again. The keyboard was tapping like a death knell, and another murder case data was quietly implanted. The rift between reality and reality is widening, and the hunt for geniuses has officially begun. Shocked like thunder, Li Xiu glanced at everyone and smelled the salty taste of victory in the sound of rain. He restarted the terminal, and Ye Zhi's game log popped up, the hidden file, Maze of Shadows, with blood-red text. "The company's real kill mechanism is activated. The brain-computer overclocking is 99.87% synchronized, and the rich pay billions to experience the pleasure of real death. The film owner tested it, and I intercepted the data. Death brainwaves hit the heart of reality. Warning Lin Fan, don't get close." At the end of the log, the audio file played. Ye Zhi's voice trembled. "They killed me to silence me. A real and false double kill, a master of footprints and blood-type framing." The air froze, and the aftertaste of blood filled his nose. Lin Fan pushed the door open and walked in with wet clothes and wolfish eyes. "Sir Li, information. Ye Zhi gave me a backup before she died. Jiang Chen's boss, Bureau Zhang, is involved in game development. He has signed a real killing mode contract, and the movie owner ID is bound to his real-life IP." Jiang Chen. When Chen heard this, his face turned pale, and his body swayed against the wall, dust hitting his face. "Zhangju? Impossible." Li Xiu's pupils shrank, and the terminal scanned the last, server blood-type data. Traces of tampering flashed, type B to type A, the timestamp pointed to Zhangju's office. Shen Qingqing's communication exploded. "The hook is bitten. Blood-type implantation path, Zhang Bureau firewall vulnerability." I dig deep. The rain hit the iron windows of the interrogation room, like countless iron fingers beating on the heart. The air was filled with the smell of rust and the musty rot of Lin Fan's wet clothes. Li Xiu tapped the terminal with his finger. The green light of the screen reflected his stern profile, and the blood-red text in Ye Zhi's diary was still pulsing in front of his eyes. Lin Fan leaned against the wall and panted, his chest heaving like a bellows, and his eyes locked on Jiang Chen like a trapped beast. "Inspector, Zhangju didn't just sign the contract. He promoted the extreme immersion mode. I peeked at the internal emails of the game company. The rich paid billions to experience the edge of real death. The brain computer was overclocked to 99.87%, and the heartbeat was synchronized with reality. Ye Zhi found out, intercepted the test data of Maze of Shadows, and was silenced. Jiang Chen's face was livid, his fists were clenched so hard that his knuckles turned white, and the cracking sound was like cracking bones in the dead silence. He slammed the table, and the sawdust scattered dust in his nose. Fart. Director Zhang is my boss, an old partner of 20 years. Investigation company. Li Xiu, you want to drag the whole task force into trouble. The game company is a military-level company with the Imperial Capital Consortium behind it. Touching them is like stirring up a hornet's nest. His voice was like gravel rolling down, and his eyes were bloodshot, staring at Li Xiu as if he wanted to swallow someone. The fat police officer huddled in the corner, his nose smelling of sweat, and murmured, "Inspector Jiang is right, the security of the company building was doubled last night, and the media was still guarding the door. Lin Fan's intelligence is reliable. If everything turns out to be innocent, we will become a laughing stock." The female police officer bit her nails, the smell of blood mixed into the wet angry. She whispered, "Sir Li, Zhang Ju's IP is bound to the movie owner, but where is the evidence? It's just a blood-type tampering with the timestamp, and the court will not admit it." The ridicule was like a rain curtain, the lights in the interrogation room flickered, lengthening the shadows of everyone into ghosts. The pressure was like the walls shrinking inward, and I couldn't breathe. Li Xiu didn't look up. Shen Qingqing was connected to the terminal, and her sharp laughter burst out from the loudspeaker, like a knife scraping glass. "Li Xiu, the blood type hook is tight. Ye Zhi's true blood type is A, and the murderer implanted Lin Fan to match type A, but the base is type B, 30 minutes before replacement. The server log, the tampering path points directly to the firewall of Director Zhang's office. The vulnerability was my yesterday late. Dig deeper. Give me instructions." Li Xiu's voice was as calm as ice. "Trace the source of the implant, reverse spectrum. Simulate Ye Zhi's brain-computer data 30 minutes before death, and look for abnormal traffic." Shen Qingqing's echo accelerated, beating like a heartbeat. "Roger. Dark network springboard 5 layers, dig." The heat wave on the terminal burned her hands, and the screen code spread like poisonous ivy. Jiang Chen rushed forward, grabbed Li Xiu's shoulder with his rough hands, his nails dug into his flesh, and shouted, "Stop. Hackers invading the company are tantamount to a terrorist attack. Director Zhang even approved me for working overtime last night. Lin Fan, the victim's friend, the information is all framed." Lin Fan was furious, pushed Jiang Chen away, and splashed water on his face from his wet clothes. "Framed? Before Ye Zhi died, she told me, extreme mode is a real killing round, and the top executives are working for the rich. The second round of the movie master's test, don't trust the police." The fat police officer's eyes widened, and his mouth was as wide as a fish. "The second round? A series?" The female police officer gasped, covered her chest and backed up against the wall, with mortar hitting her face. "Oh my God, are we in a trap?" With buzzing in his mind, Li Xiu pressed the computer, and the world turned around, returning to the mansion in the virtual reality. The candlelight was dimly blue and the tongue was sticking out. The mold spots on the wallpaper were squirming like living insects. The sweet smell of carrion penetrated the nose, and the sticky blood stains on the floor made it squeak. The projection of Ye Zhi's corpse was restored. The neck strangulation marks were purple, swollen, and bulging. The 42-yard footprints were as winding as snakes, with a depth of 4.2 centimeters and flashing red light. Jiang Chen's projection stumbled to the ground, his boots splashing blood and virtual mud spots. He gasped like an ox. "Li Xiu, don't play tricks this time. The company's top executives are innocent. Investigating them will destroy your future." The projection of Shen Qingqing's black hair appeared, and her fingertips made imaginary strokes. The diary was like black rain. "Basin, the blood-type deep research is completed. 30 minutes before death, Ye Zhi's brain-computer traffic exploded. External implantation, B-type substrate synthesized A-type. Lin Fan's DNA library was plagiarized, 99.99% accurate. Source, Zhang Bureau IP, Office Terminal Heat Trace. Li Xiu stood still, his fingers flying, and the terminal overlay simulation, the murderer's path reappeared, and the invisible figure sneaked in from the back door, with a stride length of 0.8 meters, a height of 185 centimeters, and a weight of 85 kilograms, leaving a 4.2 centimeters deep mark. The screen accelerated, the footprints extended 5 meters, and the blood-stained arc was perfect, but suddenly, the trajectory pulsed, and the AI prediction network flashed. I see clearly. The footprints are not real trampling, but are generated by AI based on player behavior predictions. When Ye Zhi was struggling, he kicked the candlestick. The candlelight trajectory should be offset by 17 degrees, but the footprints have no dynamic deformation. The static rendering relies on Lin Fan's historical data. He played Shadow Maze last night, and his gate was copied. The floor of the mansion trembled, the footprints cracked the spider web, the red-hot zone exploded, and the AI algorithm was exposed. The prediction model matched Lin Fan 99.87%, and the implantation time was 32 minutes before death. Jiang Chen's knees softened, and he knelt in a pool of blood. His pants were stained with blood. His eyes bulged, and his voice trembled like a candle in the wind. Predicted generation. AI copied player data to forge irrefutable evidence. Bureau Zhang, how did he do it? The fat police officer rubbed his eyes and screamed, his face as white as paper, "Oh my God. Sir Li, before the simulation path was seamless, we thought it was real. Player behavior database, tens of thousands of people's data can be copied?" The female police officer hugged his head wretched, and the sour smell of virtual stomach hit his nose. Inspector Jiang, obstructing the investigation company. We almost killed Lin Fan by mistake. Director Zhang is selling real killings for profit, and the rich experience is on the verge of death. Shen Qingqing laughed loudly, with flying black hair, and pointed at Jiang Chen's nose. Inspector, traditional IP tracking. The real shoe pattern is correct, and the AI predicted gate is perfectly implanted. Blood type B2A, traffic peaked 30 minutes ago, Director Zhang's heat traces burned the screen red. The second light in the real-life interrogation room exploded, sparks flying like blood stars. Everyone took off their brain machines, their faces flushed with sweat. Lin Fan threw himself on the table and made a dent with his fist. Sir Li, the inside story of Extreme Mode, the company's top executives sold it to the black market rich, paid hundreds of millions to buy the real death pleasure, and the brain waves were overclocked to synchronize the real heart. Ye Zhi teamed up to clear the maze and eavesdropped on the meeting. I have a backup of the recording. Jiang Chen got up and sat with his back against the wall, dust hitting his face and tears in his face. He roared in a broken voice, Zhang Bureau. I talked to him last night. If you say that, approve the project funds. Investigate him. The task force is disbanded, I will lose my job. The fat policeman was struck by ridicule, his voice trembling as he knelt down in admiration. Sir, your IQ is crushing. The AI predicted the footprints, and we passed the blind test in the laboratory 3 times. You are a detective. The female police officer burst into tears and hugged Li Xiu. Don't listen to Inspector Jiang, the company is also poking at you. Serial murder, the second victim. The rain is like a roaring beast, the lights of the game company building are pulsating, the movie owner's keyboard tapping is accelerating, Li Xiu's face is reflected on the screen, and a red letter countdown reads, Double Kill Act 2, Detective, come on. The rift between reality and reality expands to infinity, geniuses hunt, and the blood debt will be repaid. Li Xiu's pupils were like needles, and he pieced together the clues like a jigsaw puzzle. An insider of the murderer, the hook pointed directly at the film owner, a real killing chain. The second victim Night Shark's log popped up, Ye Zhi's backup audio file was played, and the voice was intermittently like a ghost crying. Ye Shark found the transaction list. They killed him and silenced him, a double kill, and another person was trapped in the blood type of the footprints. Lin Fan, tell Sir, there is a server entity deep in the maze, underground in the real building. The air was clotted with blood, and the rain roared like an animal. Jiang Chen finally collapsed. He knelt down and beat his chest with a dull sound. I can't stop it. Sir Li, lead the company. Bureau Zhang, you beast. The fat police officer screamed, the female police officer roared in tears, and Lin Fan's eyes burned like a wolf. Charge. Shen Qingqing's communication exploded, and the loudspeaker current screamed, the company's firewall is broken. Abnormal transaction records were intercepted, Bureau Zhang signed the order, and the film owner's ID transferred 500 million black coins to the anonymous account in the imperial capital. Extreme immersion, test list, Ye Zhi first, second, Night Shark, a game master, disappeared in real life last week and his body has not been examined. The terminal screen is pouring, the transaction log is blood red, Zhang Bureau's signature flashes, the Shadow Master's keyboard heat traces are superimposed on the CCTV of the office, the man's figure is blurred, the suit is straight, and the fingertips are tapping faster. The heavy rain was like 1,000 arrows piercing through the heart, smashing the iron windows of the interrogation room, and the fragments jingled and bounced like broken bones. The stench of mold, rot and sweat intertwined in the air to form a suffocating net. Jiang Chen's kneeling figure elongated into a ghost, his rough hands were supporting the wall, bloodshot knuckles oozing out, the dripping mortar making a sizzling and corrosive sound, his eyes were as red as stewed blood beasts. Li Xiu. Bureau Zhang is my boss, a brother of 20 years. He also personally approved the project convoy, the helicopter last night standby. Raid the company building. The underground labyrinth is a military-industrial restricted area. The density of the security laser network is 17 lines per square meter. If there is any movement, the Imperial Consortium guards will airborne and we will be wiped out. His voice shattered like iron chains in the wind, and his chest trembled violently, and the smell of hot breath came out. The fat police officer huddled in the corner, his fat body trembling like jelly, beads of sweat sliding down his nose and hitting the floor. He widened his cloudy eyes and murmured, Inspector Jiang is right. Chen Hao, the night shark, disappeared last week. The actual body is still in the freezer and no DNA test has been done. Let's run through the maze, just in case everything is clear. The project constitutes a terrorist, and black headlines will be everywhere tomorrow. The female police officer held her knees and retched, with bitter stomach acid mixed with the rain. She gritted her teeth and whispered, Sir Li, the ghost message is a trap. The night shark game ID is, Ye Shark, the footprints at the shooting scene are 38-digit, and the blood type is O, referring to the innocent player, Wind Blade. His live broadcast that night proved that he was not present, the second round of perfect proof. The company's internet firewall was upgraded last night, and we hacked into it, which is like throwing ourselves into a trap. Lin Fan's fists burst with veins, and his wet clothes made a sticky tearing sound. Deny. Ye Zhi's voice is clear. Director Zhang signed the contract to sell the real deal. But Inspector Jiang blocks the way. How can we save Night Shark's next victim? The ridicule was like a thundercloud, the light bulbs buzzed and flickered, stretching the shadows into strangling claws, the pressure was like an iron wall squeezing the lungs, and the gasps turned into ghost cries. Li Xiu didn't move. The heat wave in the terminal on his palm pulsed like lava, and the green light on the screen reflected his pupils like abyss. He tapped his fingers slightly, and Shen Qingqing's sharp smile burst out from the loudspeaker, as sharp as ice needles. Li Xiu, the order is issued, the projection of Night Shark Chen Hao's corpse is online. The company's internet path is dug out, the hacker's springboard was on the 7th level, pointing directly at Director Zhang's assistant terminal, but the heat traces were superimposed. Jiang Chen inspected the home router. At 23:47 last night, the traffic peak matched the blood-type tampering mode. Jiang Chen's face turned pale as wax, and his knees hit the ground. Dust hit his face and he threw himself on the table. He grabbed Li Xiu, and his nails were embedded in the fabric with a sharp tearing sound. Nonsense. The router at home has been broken for 3 days, and I used the hotspot on my mobile phone. Director Zhang is innocent. He criticized me for investigating the game company, not a mole. The fat policeman gasped, his mouth opened as round as a dead fish, and the smell of sweat was strong. Inspector home route? Are the traces burning red? Did we trust the wrong person? The female police officer gasped and backed away, knocking over the chair, and the metal hit her hard. She covered her mouth with the smell of bloody nails. Sir, Jiang Chen denies it, but the traffic is consistent. The assistant is still him? A serial trap. We are on fire. Lin Fan's eyes were blazing, and his brain machine was buzzing. He roared, I'm undercover. At the edge of the shadow maze of virtual reality, the high-level meeting clip has been cut. The world flipped, everyone's brains and computers synchronized, and the interrogation room turned into ashes due to heavy rain, and they fell into the dark corridor of the game maze. The moss on the wall squirms like living intestines, the sound of dripping water echoes like the countdown of a heartbeat, the sweetness of rotten leaves penetrates the nose, and the blue candlelight spits out letters and licks the air with a hissing poisonous tongue. Lin Fan was projected in front of him, water droplets splashed from his wet hair and sprayed with blood mist. He made imaginary strokes with his fingers, and the phantom of the meeting emerged. Zhang Ju's figure in a suit was blurred, the projected lips moved silently, the main ID of the silhouette was flashing red, and the voice was intermittently like a ghost. The real killing conceals the perfect. The footprint AI completes the path, blood type conversion is delayed by 0.1%, the rich pay 1 billion to experience the edge of brain death. Night Shark Chen Hao discovered the list, shot and killed to synchronize reality. Footprint 3 Code 8 predicts the gate of Wind Blade, O-type implant base A transformation, 27 minutes before death, the brain machine is overclocked to 99.92%. The next one is Li Xiu's ally. The phantom pulses, Zhang Ju's figure turns his head, his eyes are like this. The black hole stared at everyone, Jiang Chen's projection staggered, the soles of his boots slipped out of the moss, and mud splashed into his nose. He roared tremblingly, false. I have been to the conference room, and there was no such conversation. Lin Fan's undercover information is all framed. Shen Qingqing projected black hair flying, and the code on her fingertips was like a black vine wrapped around the projection. She laughed like an electric current. Deny. Reverse the internal network path. Director Zhang's assistant IP jumped to Jiang Chen's home route, camouflage layer. Night Shark Chen Hao's shooting scene, reappearance. The maze floor trembled and cracked, and the projection of Chen Hao's body in a pool of blood was restored. 5 bullet holes in the chest, the smell of burnt black meat assailed his nose, 38-yard footprints extending spirally, a depth of 3.7 centimeters, an O-shaped red light, and a blood-stained arc that perfectly spattered the wallpaper. The projection of the innocent player, Wind Blade, flashed on, and thousands of barrages scrolled on the live broadcast screen. Wind Blade copied the copy that night, and there is irrefutable proof of alibi. Jiang Chen pounced on the corpse, scratching the bloody footprints with his rough hands, and his fingers were sticky and stringy. His eyes protruded, and his voice was as shattered as glass, depth 3.7. Wind Blade's shoe size is 38, blood type matches, but the live broadcast is synchronized. Impossible. Li Xiu stood still, his fingers flying in the terminal stack simulation, the air buzzed and heated up like a furnace, the screen accelerated, the invisible path of the murderer reappeared, sneaking in from the back door of the maze, with a stride length of 0.72 meters, a height of 178, and a 72 kilograms indentation of 3.7 centimeters. But the trajectory pulsated, and the AI completion network exploded. See it through. The second round of forgery upgrade, the system automatically completes the criminal path, non-static rendering, and is a dynamic prediction chain. Chen Hao struggled before being shot. The bullet casing should have rolled and offset 9 degrees, but the footprints were not deformed. It relied on the historical data of Wind Blade. He teamed up in the maze last week, and his gate was plagiarized 99.97%, the implantation time is 29 minutes before death. The blood network on the floor is cracked with spider marks, the red-hot area explodes, and the AI algorithm is exposed. The completed model matches the Wind Blade, the pressure distribution is misaligned by 0.3 kilograms per square centimeter, and the real shoot depth of 3.5 centimeters does not match the murderer's 72 kilograms static bonus. Jiang Chen's projection hit his knees with blood, splashing virtual mud and staining his trousers. He swallowed hard, his face twisted like molten wax, and his voice trembled like a candle. Automatic completion. AI chain prediction path. Our laboratory blindly tested 4 times, the ballistic trajectory is seamless. Bureau Zhang. How does he control the internet? The fat police projection rubbed his eyes and blinked wildly, his face turned white and his flesh trembled. God. Sir Li, dynamic completion, bullet casing rolling is predicted, we thought it was a real gun. Number of players, thousands of people in the database will be copied, and the wind blade will wash them away. The female police officer held her head and screamed, with virtual tears like drops of blood. Inspector Jiang, Assistant IP is your home route? Denial is useless, the serial irrefutable evidence is shattered, we almost killed the second Lin Fan by mistake. Lin Fan laughed loudly, punched the wall and smashed the moss, and the fans were scattered. Li Sir, the meeting clip is replayed, the film owner said. Inspector Jiang Chen is a shield, denying delay, raiding the underground maze and waiting for you to surrender. The third light in the real-life interrogation room exploded, sparks flying like blood stars. Everyone took off their computers, their faces flushed with sweat. Shen Qingqing's communication blasted in, and the loudspeaker hissed, the internal network is completely broken. The hacker's path is locked. Director Zhang's assistant terminal hot trace jumped into Jiang Chen's IP disguise, but the MAC address burned through. Director Zhang's private server. Night Shark Chenhao's real-life corpse DNA verification, typo pseudo-blood base B conversion. 27 minutes ago, the traffic peak, the company's underground labyrinth server physical hot load exploded. Jiang Chen got up, sliding against the wall with mortar on his face. He roared and his voice broke. I don't know. Director Zhang called me last night and said that the Ye Zhi case should be suppressed, so don't investigate further. But he is my boss and there are clues involved in the case. I can't deny it. The fat police officer knelt down in admiration and said with a trembling voice, Sir Li, IQ is crushing. Complete the path, we have passed the gunfight simulation 3 times, you can see through it at a glance. The detective leads the team and goes for a surprise attack. The female police officer burst into tears and hugged Li Xiu, her arms trembling. Inspector Jiang turned around and rushed into the maze. Who is the ally in the second scene? Li Xiu's pupils were like needles, and the terminal dinged a new red. Chenhao's backup log popped up, and his voice was intermittently wailing, Li Xiu. The footprints are completed to predict the wind blade, and the blood typo locks allies. The core of the underground maze, the Shadow Master server. Be careful of virtual and real attacks. He pressed the brain computer and returned to VR alone. The lights in the depths of the maze pulsated like a heart, the black mist between the walls exuded a sweet and rotten smell, and the footsteps echoed like the approach of a hound. Suddenly, the darkness bursts, the virtual gun muzzle sprays thin flames, the red line of the bullet trajectory tears the air and buzzes, and the heat wave burns the skin. Li Xiu dodged, the moss on the wall exploded and moldy juice splashed on his face. He swiped his finger backwards and used the terminal lock ID, Shadow Master _Zhang Bureau binding. The heat trail was superimposed on the CCTV of Jiang Chen's boss's office. The figure in a suit raised his gun and his smile was twisted. The terminal beeped, and a new message went viral. Ghost, signature, second act, the footprints of the night shark have been laid, blood type B changes to O, predict your allies. The film owner smiled, detective, come to the underground maze. The game company building is in the distance, the lights pulse like a heart, the steel giant opens its mouth in the rainstorm, and the virtual and real cracks swallow the sky. Li Xiu stood up, the end of his palm was as hot as lava, everyone's eyes burned with admiration, the hunt expanded, and the blood net opened for the second time. The heavy rain hit the steel roof like 10,000 whips, the roar was deafening, and every drop hit like a hammer hitting the heart. The fog lights of the team tore through the night, and the blood-red halo illuminated the company building on the road ahead like the spine of a giant beast. Jiang Chen was driving the front car, his knuckles on the steering wheel were white, and his veins were coiled like a python. His throat rolled as he swallowed the salty taste of rain and sweat. His voice was hoarse and broken. "Sir Li, the density of the maze entrance security laser network is 17 lines per square meter. We have 5 vehicles in the convoy, and helicopters are on standby. Director Zhang personally approved the action order last night. If he is the film owner, if we rush in, it will be like a sheep in the tiger's mouth." The shadow of the fat policeman in the car behind him was shaking like chaff, and the fog condensed on his fat face against the window glass, and he was breathing heavily. "Tungning, super detective, the DNA of Night Shark Chinhao's body has just been tested, and the B-type base 20 fake blood matches the path of Shenqingqing's internet. But the physical bomb on the underground server has a countdown of 2 hours. We assaulted with black helmets, and the consortium guards airborne, and the blood washed the whole group." The female police officer hugged her knees and sat in the back seat. The rainwater flowed down the trench of her boots and turned into a stream of blood. She bit her lip and the blood dripped out, smelling of rust. She whispered and trembled, "The third round of footprints has been laid clear, and the blood type is predicted to be type B. Allies are killed in turn, how can we save them?" Lin Fan was riding a bicycle, his cheeks were as red as knives from the rain. His computer was buzzing with a dazzling green light, and his roar was overshadowed by the roar of the engine. It's useless to deny. Ye Zhi's audio files, Night Shark logs, all the Bureau's private servers are locked. "Sir Li, VR team instruction, I am an undercover agent to open a path, your terminal will simulate it, and I will cover it." Shenqingqing's voice burst from the Palm terminal, and the electric current was piercing Ye Zhi. "The 7th layer of the path has been burned through, and the virtual headquarters projection is in place. But the AI firewall is adaptive. Yes, let's go in, the dynamic completion prediction chain will be upgraded, and the footprints will copy 99.99% of your gate, and the third blood network will be woven." Everyone's brains and computers rang simultaneously. The world turned, the Real fleet turned into ashes, and fell into the ghost world of virtual reality, Shadow Labyrinth virtual headquarters. The veins on the walls of the corridor are crawling like veins, the black mist exudes a rotten sweet smell and goes straight into the nasal cavity, the footsteps echo as low as the countdown of the heart, the blue candlelight licks the air and hisses poisonous messages, and the low roar of the distant server shakes the bone marrow. Li Xiu landed silently, and the heat wave of the terminal was like lava pulsing, reflecting the abyss. He tapped his fingers slightly, and the green light scanned the cracks in the wall. Short repair. Inventory harvest, 42-yard footprints traced by Ye Zhi, depth 4.2 centimeters, pressure misalignment 0.4 kilograms per square centimeter, AI static rendering pixel offset 0.02%. Night Shark shot 38 yards 3.7 centimeters, the dynamic prediction chain completes the shell rolling offset, copying the wind blade gate 99.97%, and the brain machine is overclocked 99.92% before death. Shenqingqing's internal network certificate, Zhang Bureau's MAC burns through the disguised Jiangchen route, and the private server heat trace superimposes the Shadow Master ID. The terminal upgrade module in his palm flashed, and the air buzzed and heated up like a furnace. The interface is overclocked and directly connected to the core of the game, and the field of view is superimposed on the prediction network. Strength is improved, the anti-AI tracking algorithm is online, gate data is distorted in real time, and the blood type implantation delay is reversed by 0.05 seconds. Lin Fan's projection eyes widened, veins burst out from his fists, smashed the wall moss and scattered mold powder. His voice trembled and worshipped, God. "Sir Li," Ye Zhi backed up before he died. "I intercepted the audio file list of the real killing experience of 10 black market tycoons paying billions. After we repaired it, we went straight to the server." Shenqingqing's black hair was flying with the projection, and the black vines wrapped around the wall with the code on her fingertips. She laughed sharply with ice needles. "Terminal upgrade? IQ crushing. My hacking path is synchronized, the blood-type source server is in place, and the serial crime is reproduced. Ye Zhi's projection is activated. The floor trembled and cracked, and Ye Zhi's body recovered from the pool of blood. The neck was swollen with deep purple marks, the meat was burnt and tangy, the size 42 footprints spiraled to a depth of 4.2 centimeters and flashed A-shaped red light. The blood-stained arc perfectly spattered the wallpaper, but the trajectory pulsated. AI static rendering exploded. Shen Qingqing moved his fingers backwards, code rain poured down, and the red-hot spots in the veins of the wall exploded. Look. The source of blood-type tampering, the company's AI actively forged it. The base type B was converted into A implant, and the traffic peak 30 minutes before death matched the player's behavior library. Plagiarism. Lin Fan's historical data is 99.99%, but the pressure distribution is abnormal, and the 85 kg static bonus depth of the real murderer does not match. Lin Fan's projection jumped on the corpse, scratching the bloody footprints with his rough hands, and his fingers were sticky and stringy, and his eyes were bulging. He grumbled out of his throat, "Ye Zhi, my teammate. The AI copied my gate and framed thousands of people for the live broadcast, but there is solid evidence that I was not present. The company is seeking insurance money, the players are dead, and the compensation is worth billions of dollars." The projection of the female police officer held her head and gasped, with virtual tears and blood. Bang, hacker Shen, amazing skill. The source has been cracked. We thought perfection was not there, it was all an AI trap. The fat police officer rubbed his eyes and blinked wildly, his face pale and trembling. Blood type 0.1% delayed implantation, rich people experience the edge of brain death, beasts. Jiang Chen's projection staggered against the wall, moss-slippery mud splashing into his nose and a foul stench. He held his rough hands on the ground, his knuckles were bloodshot and oozed with mortar and corroded, and his eyes were red and stewed by blood beasts. Zhang Bureau, 20 years of brothers, he signed an extreme immersion contract to promote the black market. Film host meeting clip, is it a shield to deny delay? Li Xiu turned around, the terminal stack simulated acceleration, the air buzzed with heat, and the picture reappeared. Night Shark Chenhao's chest was scorched black with 5 bullets. The 38 code O pseudo-footprint dynamic chain predicted the wind blade live broadcast for thousands of people, and the bullet case rolling deflection was perfect without deformation. Break down your theory, Jiang Chen. The high-level design of the real killing mechanism, brain-computer overclocking 99.87% to synchronize the real heart. The first scene of the virtual and real double-kill game, Ye Zhi was strangled to death, the second shot Night Shark, the third predicted Shen Qingqing's B-blood ally. Bureau Zhang's private server hot traces, CCTV suit gun shot with a smile bound to the Shadow Master's ID, not uninformed, he is the mastermind. Jiang Chen's knee went soft and there was a bloody thud, dust hit his face and tears mixed with his face. Wax melted, his voice shattered. Default. He suppressed the Night Shark case, and said on the phone last night not to investigate further. Am it too late to lead the raid? The fat police officer gasped, his mouth opened wide, and he was sweating heavily. Sir, Li, the theory is shattered. Inspector Jiang acquiesced in shock, we blindly believed in our superiors, and we were almost wiped out. The female police officer burst into tears, and her arms trembled as she hugged the projection. The detective pushed it down, the high-level shady story was exposed, and the victims are just. The climax of the game broke out, Shen Qingqing laughed, the electric current was piercing, the black vines on his fingertips were wrapped around the server projection, and the blue fire burst out and hissed with the smell of burnt meat. The transaction records are all broken. Zhang Ju transferred 500 million black coins to the imperial capital anonymously. The insurance money was laundered in a cycle, and the AI forged and framed the game home suicide simulation, making tens of billions. The heartbeat of the server accelerated, the gravel rolled down the corridor with a roar, the blood web spider pattern cracked and exploded with red heat, and evidence rained down. Ye Zhi's log, Night Shark backup, and Wind Blade Gate plagiarized data all locked the source. Lin Fan's wolf-like eyes were full of firepower. The virtual submachine gun fired at the AI guards. The tongues of bullets ripped through the fog and the humming heat waves scalded his skin. Li Xiu, the reappearance is over, retreat. Suddenly, the depths of darkness exploded. The red line of the virtual muzzle of the film host tore through the air. The bullet trajectory prediction locked Li Xiu's gait, and the hot wind curled his shoulders and scorched his hair. Li Xiu dodged the wall moss and exploded the moss on his face, spraying moldy juice on his face, but his terminal was buzzing with anti-tracking and locked the ID hot trace. Trap upgrade, dynamic completion predicts that I am 72 kilograms. Lin Fan pounced on Li Xiu, carrying a pool of blood on his shoulders. The sticky and tearing sound of mud and blood was sharp, and his roar broke. Benefactor, I save you. The brain-computer connection is disconnected, break away. The world flipped, the projections collapsed, and the real-life convoy alarm flashed with red lights and bloody eyes. The motorcade approached the company building in the rain. The tires were puddles and there was blood mist. Media drones were buzzing and swarming. The red light of the camera was glaring and the live broadcast barrage was rolling. The police raided the headquarters of the phantom murder machine. The shady scenes of the real murder were exposed. Zhang Bureau signed a contract to sell his brain to death, and the players' corpses were synchronized with reality. Jiang Chen stepped on the brakes and filled the air with the smell of iron. He roared in a low voice and worshipped, Li Xiu, the media is flying all over the sky, justice is beginning to appear. Ye Zhi, Ye Zhi, we won the first time. The fat police officer knelt down, flushed with sweat, and his voice trembled, IQ is crushing. Shen Qingqing broke the source, Inspector Jiang admitted, we almost killed him by mistake. The female police officer hugged Li Xiu's arms and burst into tears, the victim's soul is safe, let's raid the maze. Lin Fan threw his face on the roof of the car with a whip, and punched the iron shell, full fire, server bombs in 1 hour and 30 minutes. The reality alarm blared wildly, the red light flashed like blood eyes, the iron door of the detention center shook, and everyone rushed into the rain. Jiang Chen roared hoarsely, Sir, Li, under attack. Bureau Zhang's ID matches. You beast, I will take the lead in the attack. Lin Fan threw himself on the roof of the car, his face like a knife in the rain, maze server, entity bomb countdown. Shen Qingqing's voice accelerated the drum beat, the path is open. But the third round of footprints is paving me, ally blood type prediction, wind blade saves, next Shen Qingqing. The distant shadow of the steel behemoth company building in the heavy rain, the beast's breath pulsating underground, the virtual and real cracks swallowed up, the third blood network was quietly woven. The heavy rain is like 1,000 arrows piercing the heart, the tires of the team crush the stagnant water and explode the blood-red mud. The crackling sound is like firecrackers and broken bones. Every breath inhales the mist mixed with rust and putrid smell, which goes straight into the heart and becomes moldy. The brakes of Jiang Chen's car were squealing, and the windshield wipers were sweeping across the windshield, but they couldn't block the outline of the building, which stood like the backbone of a giant beast. The blue laser network pulsated and woven densely from the underground entrance. 17 light filaments per square meter were like poisonous snakes, and the air buzzed with the smell of ionized burnt smoke. In the rearview mirror, helicopter rotors tore through the night sky, roared and shook the frame, infrared probes strafed like bloody eyes hunting, media drones swarmed and swooped, the camera flashed, and live broadcast barrages rolled. The ghost cried, Director Zhang personally approved the raid to turn into a ghost to encircle and suppress. Detective Li Xiu's convoy trap, guards parachute for bloodbath. The fat police officer stumbled out of the rear car, his fat face as pale as paper and sweat dripping down into the river. His throat was sticky after swallowing, and his legs were stuck in the tire grooves. His voice was broken and trembling, Sir Li. Zhang Bureau radio just cut in, the whole police channel issued a arrest warrant. We are a sheep in a tiger's mouth, the laser network has been upgraded to adapt, scan my brain and computer ID, the traitor tag is locked. The female police officer hugged the car door, blood dripping down her neck like a strangulation mark, her nails dug into the metal, and her knuckles were bleeding. The silk oozed the smell of rust, and his eyes were red and wide with fear. Inspector Jiang, you have been a brother for 20 years, and you personally signed an extreme contract to sell players to brain death. We have a fleet of 5 vehicles, full frequency exposure, the guard helicopters and 50 people airborne. The 4th round of blood network predicts Sir Li a blood gate of 72 kilograms, brain overclocking directly hit the heart and stopped. Lin Fan jumped on the roof of the car, his cheeks were scarred with red marks like knife wounds. The green light of his computer flashed dazzlingly, and he punched the hood with a loud bang. He gasped and sprayed hot air, intelligence confusion. The game's hidden level, Shadow Mirror Clone, the real murderer Zhang controls the AI clone, the physical server is on the 3rd underground floor, and the bomb countdown is 125. Dynamic completion predicts 99.995% of our entire group's gate. Ye Zhi's audio files are backed up by me and hidden on the dark web. He sells the real killing experience of the 10 richest people on the black market. The insurance money is 100 million yuan, but the company's debt is 30 billion. VR Real Killing blames the players for suicide simulation. Money laundering from the anonymous user in the imperial capital. Shen Qingqing's voice came from Li Xiu's Palm terminal. Explosion, electric current piercing Hun Yuxiao, the private server is being invaded. The 7-fold firewall is adaptively burned through, and the heat trace is superimposed on the master ID. The evidence of the 3rd case was unearthed. My blood prediction wheel, the ally hacker logs were forged, the footprint depth was 4.1 centimeters, the pressure was misplaced by 0.35 kilograms per square centimeter, and I copied my keyboard gate. The library is 98.7%, the blood type implantation is delayed by 0.08 seconds, and the brain machine is overclocked and implanted to simulate a heart rhythm collapse 25 minutes before death. Everyone's brains and machines are synchronously ringing like needles piercing the marrow, the edges of the world are blurred, the real rain screen is superimposed with VR shadows, the walls of the corridor are crawling, and the black mist is sweet, and the distant server is bone-shaking like a countdown knell. Li Xiu's pupils shrank, the terminal heat wave and the lava pulsating reflected the abyss. He tapped the green net with his finger slightly to scan the density of the laser network, and the air buzzed and heated up the furnace. Mr. Zhang's motive is locked. The company's debt is 30 billion, VR is really killing the black market to make tens of billions, blaming players such as Lin Fan with irrefutable blood type, insurance claims psycho money laundering, Ye Zhi's first kill test overclocking to synchronize real-life heartbeat, Night Shark Chapter 1 the second gun kills the backup, the 3rd one is our ally Shen Qingqing. The 4th one is directly targeting our A-blood 72 kilograms gate prediction chain. Jiang Chen, your hesitation is the key. Director Zhang personally approved the action order, but he ordered the entire police to pursue him. Our convoy is a target. Jiang Chen leaned on the car door and knelt down, rainwater dripping down his thick neck, bloodshot threads on his knuckles were corroding the moss, his eyes were red and stewed with animal blood, and his throat was red. His head rolled over the broken glass. Sir Li, he called last night and said that the owner of the film was a senior executive of the company. I denied it as a shield and delayed the investigation. Brothers of 20 years, signed a black market contract to sell the brain-dead edge. My route was disguised as hot traces, and the full police frequency exposed me as a traitor. But, I turned on the dark channel for the helicopter backup channel, and provided meager assistance. 5 minutes in the blind spot of the freight elevator on the 2nd floor of the underground. Fat policeman, the policeman gasped, his mouth wide open and full of sweat. He rubbed his eyes and blinked wildly, trembling. Inspector Jiang is struggling to help the mole. Sir Li's analysis of the motive is spot on. The debt is blamed on the players, tens of billions are stolen, and we blindly believe in the boss and almost destroy the team. The female police officer burst into tears and hugged the projection, her arms trembling. The detective has locked up the shady story. Mr. Zhang is really killing for profit. How can we hide when the crisis is overwhelming? The iron claws of the crisis squeezed the lungs, and the light beam of the helicopter in the distance swept the roof of the car with tearing rain and red blood. Lin Fan rushed to pull Li Xiu and rolled into the mud pool. The mud and blood were sticky and tearing sharply. His wolf eyes protruded and roared to cover the engine. "Surly, avoid pursuit." The blind area of the sewer on the east side of the real building. My game information is hidden at the entrance, and the brain and computer are connected separately. You sneak in, I will cover the convoy with firepower. Li Xiu nodded silently, and the terminal upgraded anti-AI distortion gate immediately came online. The green light scanned the 72 kilograms prediction chain and it buzzed. He jumped into the rain curtain and disappeared. The soles of his shoes made no trace when he stepped on the puddles. The laser network adaptively swept the air but leaked 0.03% of the blind spot. Shen Qingqing laughed loudly as the electroacupuncture stung. The sewer path on the east side is synchronized, the black vine code is wrapped around Mr. Zhang's private server, the third case log is completely broken. The source of blood footprints, AI clone control, the rich paid billions to experience strangulation and shooting, and the players' corpses are synchronously paid for compensation. But the voice broke suddenly, and the static electricity ghost cried, "Counter! Counter! Data melting, the source is completely destroyed." The projections widened their eyes, and the fat police officer's knees were weak and he smashed the mud and spit out his nose. Hackershin was hacked. The evidence in the third case was burned to ashes, and we are making things worse. Jiang Chen gritted his teeth and cut in secretly, gasping and worshipping in pieces. "Surly dives alone, amazing skill. The blind spot of the freight elevator is opened, I hesitated to drag the guards for 3 minutes, charge." Li Xiu sneaked into the sewer on the east side. The rusty iron bars were corroded and the water was dripping like blood. The air was pungent and rotten, mixed with the stench of water and feces that rushed straight to his forehead. His footsteps reverberated and his heartbeat was counting down. His computer was overclocked and directly connected to the virtual reality. The world turned upside down and fell into the depths of the shadow maze. The walls were silent. The pulse squirms and bursts with red heat, the black mist oozes sweetness and licks the skin like a tongue, the candlelight hisses poisonous messages, and the distant AI clone projection emerges. Mr. Zhang's phantom in a suit holds a gun with a distorted smile, CCTV heat traces overlap, 38-yard footprints pulsate, and fake blood bullet casings roll perfectly. "Welcome, Detective." Li Xiu's A blood 72 kilograms gate is predicted to be locked, the fourth round of virtual and real double kill, brain overclocking 99.95% synchronization of the real heart. The red line on the clone's muzzle tore out the air and hot wind curled the scorched smell. Li Xiu dodged the wall moss and blew up the mold. Juice splashed on his face. His terminal reversed the blood type implantation for 0.05 seconds. His gate was distorted by 99.99% and reversed the AI chain. The green light network exploded and the anti-tracking buzzing lock ID, clone's weakness, static rendering pixel offset 0.025%, pressure points. The 85 kilograms static cloth does not match the 78 kilograms of the real murderer. Mr. Zhang's motive for blaming the debt, reappearing the third case. Shen Qingqing's blood prediction, the source is your private server. The clone projection trembles and squirms, the bullet trajectory prediction cracks, tongues of fire tear away the mist, and the heat waves scald the skin. But Li Xiu tapped his finger to simulate acceleration, and the pictures were superimposed in a series. Ye Zhi's 42-yard mark was 4.2 centimeters, Night Shark's 5 bullets were 3.7 centimeters, Shen Qingqing's keyboard footprint was 4.1 centimeters, full AI faked player suicide, insurance money laundering cycle. Lin Fan's fire projection cut in from the dark frequency, the virtual submachine gun fired at the AI guard, the bullets buzzed and tore through the black fog, and he roared like a wolf. "Fire, Surly, hidden level information, clone core server thermal core, countdown to 115. The real murderer controls the double body, and is ambushing the freight elevator on the east side in real life." Jiang, the weak current of Chen's secret frequency aid was piercing, the guard's airborne delay. "My heart is broken, Mr. Zhang, you beast brother." The projection of the female police officer held her head and panted with tears. the detective versus the AI clone, the IQ crushed the prediction chain, we are preying on the ground. The fat police officer rubbed his eyes in the car and blinked with sweat, narrow victory in sight. But Shenqingqing's data was destroyed, the third case was wiped out, and the crisis doubled. Li Xiu's abyss flashed, the terminal was fully opened and the anti-algorithm distorted the clone's gate, the green light rain poured down and the core pulsed, the clone's suit projection distorted and melted, the red line on the muzzle broke and exploded, and the blue fire hissed and burned the meat, error, like the prime shift is exposed, and the dead is 30 billion. The shady story. The AI clone collapsed and the gray fog seeped into the ground and corroded, but Li Xiu's brain machine buzzed redly, and new hot traces were superimposed on reality. The freight elevator door on the east side slowly opened, Mr. Zhang's true bodyguard's shadow gun was raised, the laser sight's blood dot locked the eyebrows, and the bloody wind omen intensified the beast's breath. Li Xiu's pupils were as sharp as needles, and the terminal beeped with a new buzz, high-level communication was intercepted, and the voice was intermittently crying, Shadow Master _Mr. Zhang binding confirmed. Li Xiu's allies were all wiped out, a virtual and real double-kill order was launched, the Reality Guard airborne, the fourth round of the VR blood network predicting Li Xiu's A-blood gate, the overclocking of the brain machine directly hits the heart. The pulsating animal breath in the underground of the building intensified, the blue light network of the laser network was dense, the helicopter rotors roared in the distance, tearing up the rain, the fishy wind foreshadowed the bloodbath, the crisis was like iron claws squeezing the lungs, and the gasps turned into ghost cries. The cracks in the door of the freight elevator were opened with blood and rust. The blood spots on the laser sight were like needles pricking the center of his eyebrows. Li Xiu's brain machine was buzzing with overclocking and tearing his eardrums. The real smell of rotten sewers mixed with the guard's animal breaths and the fishy wind hit his face. The abyss of his pupils shrank into needlepoints, and the terminal was green. In the pulsating reflection, Mr. Zhang's real suit crumpled and sweat rolled down in the freight elevator. His 78 kilograms body trembled slightly as the gun barrel swallowed up light. The black shadow of the guard's 12 boots and irons stamped on the ground and shook the bone marrow. Outside the rain curtain, the helicopter rotors tore into the night and roared with red lights and a blood net dived to lock the convoy. Lin Fan's projection cut from the VR maze to the real terminal, and his wolf eyes protruded and roared in pieces, Sir, Li, the real body is exposed. The blind spot of the freight elevator collapsed, the guard's heat trail 78 kilograms, Mr. Zhang's ID, the fake blood bullet shell rolled 38 yards, the pressure distribution was misplaced by 0.4 kilograms, but your anti-AI is distorted by 99.99%, and they scanned the air and leaked 0.03% of the burnt smell. Jiang Chen's dark frequency current was piercing the rain, and he was breathing heavily like a beast dying, Li's IR. The freight elevator door was locked for 3 minutes. The ghost inside me pretended to be delayed by the heat, but the whole police frequency was labeled as a traitor and burned my brain. Mr. Zhang smiled and raised his gun, our ground convoy was stuck in the mud, the fat brother and the female policeman held their heads and cried, and God prayed for the Jedi to explore the Jedi. Counterattack. The fat policeman projected his fat face into a twisted, sweaty nose. His knees were weak, he smashed into the mud and screamed, Crisis Iron Claw. Shenqingqing's data is in ashes, the blood of the third case B will be destroyed forever, our team will be destroyed in an avalanche, how can the detective's eyebrows dodge the blood? Li Xiu's heart was quenched like cold iron, and lightning flashes were deduced in his mind, Mr. Zhang's real body 78 kilograms does not match the static rendering of the AI clone's 85 kilograms, the debt is 30 billion, the black market is 10 billion, the mark of Ye Zhi is 42 yards, 4.2 centimeters, the pressure is misplaced. 0.4 kilograms per square centimeter per A to be blood implantation is delayed by 0.1%, and the overclocked external implant synchronizes the real heart 30 minutes before death. Night Shark Chinhouse B base 20 pseudo. Hemothorax 5 bomb 38 code 3.7 cm copy wind blade gate 99.97%, backup log silence 27 minutes overclocking, Shen Qingqing's third round B blood 4.1 cm keyboard gate 98.7% thermal meltdown file, the fourth IA blood 72 kg prediction chain full AI fake player suicide simulation. More than 10 cases of insurance money laundering by anonymous accounts in the imperial capital. But the desperate situation was overwhelming. The freight elevator door creaked slowly and the fishy wind exploded. Mr. Zhang's beastly eyes were red and he smiled twistedly. The detective dives alone to die. The laser network is adaptively upgraded to 17 channels/square meter. The brain-computer ID trader lock has a heart rate of 99.95%. Your terminal's green light rain can't stop the bloodbath of the guards. The guards' black shadows raised their muzzles with red lines intertwined with the hot wind, and the hair was scorched and smelly. Li Xiu ducked into the water. The moss on the wall exploded and moldy juice splashed on his face, and his face was sticky. He tapped the terminal with his fingers to simulate acceleration, and the psychological game was like cutting each other with blades. Mr. Zhang predicted that my anti-tracking clone's weakness was 0.025% in pixels. In reality, the freight elevator was ambushed and forced to escape from the VR ultimate maze. However, the virus implantation required Shen Qingqing's anti-criminal resurrection. Jiang Chen hesitated and turned sincere. Lin Fan's firepower pieced together the irrefutable evidence of the whole case, suppressed and tried again, and his IQ was crushed for a moment. Shen Qingqing's terminal suddenly resurrected, the electroacupuncture laughter pierced the static electricity and the devil cried, and the voice heat wave lava pulsated, Li Sir, counterattack and win. The black vine code burned the 7-layer Mac backdoor. Mr. Zhang's private server's hot trace overlay master ID was restored, the third case B blood log dug out the entire file. The footprints are 4.1 centimeters, the pressure is 0.35 kilograms per square centimeter, copy my keyboard gate 98.7%, the source of blood type implantation AI static rendering pixels are offset by 0.022%. The imperial capital transaction of 500 million black coins is exposed, and the corpse projection reproduces the list of more than 10 cases. Ye Zhi kills the first test, the night shark kills the second round, the ally hacker has 3 locks, and I predict the fourth. Her voice was as sharp as a blade cutting through the fog, the keyboard in the background was beating wildly, and the heartbeat was beating, and the green vines exploded in the molten ashes and the chains broke. Lin Fan's projection eyes widened with bulging eyes, he panted heavily and sprayed hot air and roared, Sister Shen is black. The data is resurrected and is irrefutable. Ye Zhi's darknet backup is synchronized, a real killing experience for billionaires in the black market. Mr. Zhang's debt of 30 billion is laundered in a cycle, and the AI's double-forged footprints and blood types are all broken. Jiang Chen secretly broke his admiration intermittently. Shen Qingqing's counterattack to kill the hot melt. God, the team took revenge, and the laser network of our ground convoy was cleared. The fat policewoman burst into tears and hugged the projection and trembled. The hacker queen implanted the virus, and the system tracking Mr. Zhang was locked. The fat police officer's plump lips trembled with sweat dripping from his nose. He blinked and rolled his eyes wildly, recovered. The third case be turned into ashes and turned into a hammer. Detective Ally Julien, our desperate situation shimmers. The corner of Li Xiu's mouth curled up slightly, the terminal's green light surged, the anti-AI algorithm was fully activated, and his gait was distorted by 99.99% to reverse the trend of the freight elevator guards. He whispered into the psychological abyss and said to himself, Mr. Zhang's beastly aura intensified and he predicted the gunfire. I ducked into the moss wall, but Lin Fan's intelligence mirror clone hid the bomb on the 3rd floor underground of the level server. 105, the virus implantation required me to simulate the final crime reenactment cover-up method, jointly pieced together, double fake footprints and blood types locked up 10 cases. Lin Fan, the whole case of simultaneous projection, Ye Zhi 42 yards 4.2 centimeters per a false B 0.1% delay, overclocked implant before death, Ye Zhi 38 yards 3.7 centimeters per B to O copy gate 99.97%, Shenqingqing 4.1 cm 98.7%, I have a 72 kg prediction chain. Full AI copying and filling in the movements of thousands of players, pressure misalignment of 0.3 to 0.4 kg, blood type implantation in 0.05 seconds, real-life and real-life simultaneous brain-dead insurance claims. Lin Fan. The projector gun swept through the AI afterimage bullets tearing away the black fog, and the broken glass rolling in his throat exploded with admiration. Sir Li put together a perfect combination. More than 10 cases were exposed in a series. Mr. Zhang's ID was bound, the CCTV suit gun showed 38 code O fake blood, and Jiang Chen's shield denied the delay. We cover the fire, and you simulate it again. Shenqingqing laughed and stabbed. The black vine of the virus was implanted into Mr. Zhang's system, the tracking hot traces were fully activated, the private server log backup and the money laundering accounts in the imperial capital were locked up. The door of the freight elevator is fully opened and the iron explodes. The guards' shadows charge fiercely with their guns and firework tongues licking the air. The heat waves scald the skin. Li Xiu rolls into the ditch and is torn by sticky mud and blood. His brain computer flips in the depths of the VR shadow maze. The wall veins squirm with red heat. The black mist licks his tongue. The terminal simulation accelerates the screen overlay. Mr. Zhang taps his fingers on the AI panel in front of the console, and the static rendering pixels are complemented by 0.02%. Ye Zhi's footprints, dynamic gate copied 99.99% of Lin Fan's live broadcast with 1,000 people absent, blood type B2A implantation delayed by 0.05 seconds, overclocking before death 99.87% synchronous real heart collapse, night shark backup log pops up a warning. Mr. Zhang's hideous laugh gun simulates the trajectory deviation of 5 bombs to predict the silence. Shenqingqing invades the 7th level, and the virus is latently implanted before the hot melt counterattack. The psychological game is like a hell eating each other. Mr. Zhang predicts that I will reproduce the core weakness of the lock, but the activation of the virus requires Jiang Chen to turn to full frequency exposure. His 20-year brother will be disillusioned and hesitant, and will be sacrificed to break the game. Jiang Chen, admit to corruption. Zhang Ju's movie owner signed a real killing contract and sold it on the black market, and beat the night shark to transfer 500 million. You are on the hot track and pretending to be a mole to help, cut in the full police frequency, expose the irrefutable evidence of dragging the guards. The veins in Jiang Chen's thick neck were bulging, and he knelt in the mud with his big hands on the ground, and his knuckles were corroded, his eyes were red, blood was boiling, and his throat was gurgling. Sir Li. Brother Beast. Have you been on the phone for 20 years? Admit it, it's all a shield to sell brains to the edge, with a debt of 30 billion to steal players. I admit corruption, the secret channel is fully turned on, the blind spot of the freight elevator is locked for 5 minutes, the entire police channel broadcasts the irrefutable evidence. The full-frequency radio waves blasted harshly, and Jiang Chen's rough roar shook the frame. Police obey the order. Director Zhang really killed the mastermind. 10 cases of footprint blood type AI forgery, Ye Zhi's night shark gun, Shenqingqing's B blood and Li Xiu's A blood prediction, all exposed. The fat police officer projected his mouth wide open like a dead fish, sweating and stinking in the rain. His legs trembled in the mud and he blinked wildly. Inspector Jiang has turned sincere. The whole channel has admitted corruption, the detective leader is psychologically crushing, and the heat of the guard is ruining our life. The female police officer was crying with red eyes and bleeding, folding her arms and gasping. The boss is disillusioned with the broadcast of ironclad evidence, the laser network adapts to the collapse frequency, the convoy turns to counterattack. Guard the black shadow of the team hesitated, muzzle slightly lowered, and ran around wildly. Mr. Zhang's real suit was wet with sweat and twisted, and roared, Traitor Jiang Chen. Brain overclocking locks your heart. However, the terminal virus black vine activated and buzzed to lock the VR helmet. Mr. Zhang's pupils shrank suddenly and the green light of the brain machine exploded. Li Xiu's simulation scene was finally fixed. Mr. Zhang operated AI to cover up the entire chain, anonymous users in the imperial capital circulated tens of billions, but the pixel offset was 0.025% and the pressure of 78 kilograms was exposed. The 10-case projection reproduced the body with strangulation marks, bullet holes, blood and footprints superimposed with irrefutable evidence. Lin Fan projected the wolf howl to win, the virus is locked. Mr. Zhang's helmet is melted, and the private server crash log is spitting out. Shen Qingqing laughed wildly with electroacupuncture. Black vines are entangled in the roots, tracing the hot traces of the imperial capital's door locks, and the list of 10 cases exposes the list of black market rich people. Jiang Qin gasped in admiration. Fragmentation. Sir Li simulated the reappearance of magical skills, planned a Jedi counterattack with wisdom, and we prayed on the ground, but Mr. Zhang escaped into the final maze of the game, and VR Shadow Abyss sent an invitation message, Detective, double kill 4th round upgrade. Brain dead 99.99% synchronized, are you coming? Li Xiu's abyss shone with a cold light of confidence, the green rain poured down at the terminal and the entrance to the lock maze pulsated, the rain curtain in the sewer was torn apart by mold and rot, the helicopter's light beam deflected, the bomb counted down to 0:55 and roared like a beast waking up, the crisis was slightly reversed and the iron claws were loose, but in the end the dueling shadows invite a bloody omen. And all the projections widen their eyes, tremble, and cry, the detective hook is bitten to death. Mr. Zhang finally escapes, we will follow the bloody battle. The roar of the server beast in the distance shakes the ground, and the gravel rolls down and jingles, and the black mist oozes sweet to warm up the final game. The musty smell of the sewers was like the sticky throat of a dead animal's rotting entrails. The green light from Li Xiu's terminal pulsated and tore through the rain curtain. He tapped his fingers on the brain-machine interface and it buzzed and stung his brain. The intertwining of reality and reality collapsed instantly. The projected figures were twisted and elongated like ghosts and melted blood mist, and the world tilted into a maze of shadows and abyss. The veins on the wall are squirming and red and hot blood is crawling across the field of vision. The sweet and rotten wind licks the tongue and corrodes the taste buds. The broken bones under the feet are cracking and shattering. A low roar in the distance is like the roar of the heartbeat of all beasts waking up and shaking the bone marrow. Lin Fan projected the wolf eyes with bulging sweat beads and evaporated hot air spray. He swallowed the black hole of the gun barrel and choked like rolling broken glass in his throat. Sir Li, the ultimate maze triple AI guard is activated. Footprints are generated for the first level, and the pressure is misaligned by 0.4 kilograms to simulate the gate of 1,000 people. 99.995% adaptive upgrade. Mr. Zhang's clone predicted our destruction with a sinister smile. The invitation message pulsed with blood. Detective, the brain-dead synchronization is 99.99%. Are you here to die? Jiang Chen's thick neck vein stretched out and the projected knee fell softly to the ground. His red beast eyes trembled. Shaking ghosts and crying, the smelly rain and mud are mixed with rough breathing, the labyrinth melt virus black vine delays the bomb at 0:55, but the AI guards and adapts to the 17th level, the guards are actually outflanking and chaotic, we form a team to fight bloody battles. I once knew the edge. Mr. Zhang suppressed the case denial for 20 years, brother beast. The fat policeman's far-frequency projection showed his fleshy face twisted and swollen with sweat, and his nose was full of sweat. He blinked his eyes and screamed, Inspector Nose. The ghosts in the team are in danger. The blood walls in the maze are crawling and we are avalanches. How can the detective flash the green light? Shen Qingqing's electroacupuncture voice pierced the black fog as sharp as a blade, and her keyboard was typing furiously in the background. The heartbeat was pounding and the lava was pulsing, the black vines are entangled in the roots and the traces of the AI generator are locked in the first step. Ye Zhi's 42-yard 4.2 cm pressure 0.4 kg per square centimeter static rendering pixels 0.02%, copying Lin Fan's gate and faked it in a live broadcast with thousands of people, but since adapt to upgrade 17 senses of disharmony, gate dynamic completion 99.995%. We stepped on the wrong bone powder. The brain overclocked 99.87% of the virtual and real synchronized heart collapse. The blood door at the entrance of the maze creaked open, and the rusty wind exploded. Countless footprints phantom floated on the ground like living insects, and the pressure distribution was misaligned by 0.3 to 0.4 kilograms. Human shoe size, AI-synthesized ferocious voice echoed the wall veins and roared, "Intruder, the footprints are irrefutable." Lin Fan's 42 code A blood-forged first test, abnormal pressure adaptive crushing 99.995%, brain-dead warm-up. Lin Fan's projection staggered, his feet were sticky with bone powder, he howled like a wolf, blasted the phantom with a gun, and licked the air with his tongue of fire. The heat wave burned his skin. Damn AI copied my gait. Thousands of people. Detective, we are desperate. The depth of the shoes is 3.8 centimeters and the weight of 80 kilograms does not match the murderer's weight of 85 kilograms. How can we break it? Jiang Chen roared wildly and ran wildly. His knuckles were bleeding and his tears were corroding and he collapsed. I deny it with a shield. Mr. Zhang's debt of 30 billion is at the edge of my knowledge. The first level of the maze is self-organized. We will destroy it. Li Xiu's pupils shrank into the abyss, the tip of the needle flashed with cold light and his heart was as cold as iron, quenched and reversed. The footprint AI static pixels were 0.02%, the dynamic gate was 99.995% completed, but the sense of violation was 78 kilograms. Mr. Zhang's true body was exposed, Qianrenku's plagiarism vulnerability, the gate frequency shifted by 0.005 Hz, the terminal's green light surged, and the anti-AI algorithm was fully activated. He murmured to himself in a low voice, and the psychological game was like cutting each other with blades. If you want to rise, suppress it first, press it down and then play, break. Finger tapping on the terminal simulates an accelerating buzzing and ear-piercing, green vines wrapped around the footprints in reverse, the phantom cracks and disintegrates, the superimposed projection, Ye Zhi's corpse reappears, neck strangulation 42 yards 4.2 centimeters per a pseudo-B blood 0.1% delay, 30 minutes before death. Overclocking externally implanted static rendering pixel offset lock Lin Fan's gate 99.99% of the live broadcast of thousands of people is irrefutable proof of absence. The AI synthesized roar was distorted, impossible. 17 levels of adaptive upgrade, and the footprints generated are irrefutable and shattered. But the green light pulsed and exploded the wall of blood, and the footprint network was shattered into bone powder and ashes filled the air with rotten sweetness. Lin Fan's wolf eyes bulged out, his throat bulged, he swallowed and worshipped and exploded. Li Xiu's reverse push is accurate. Pixel 0.02% gate deviation 0.05 Hz is completely broken, the AI of the first level footprints collapses, and we bounce back. Jiang Chen gasped, his red pupils shivered, his big hands on the ground corroded, and he blinked wildly. The detective is smart. 20 years of disillusionment on the verge of knowing redemption, follow the bloody battle. Shen Qingqing laughed with electric shock, the green vines backfired, and the blood type is replaced to warm up for the second level. The blood mist rolled over the wall, and the veins accelerated and squirmed like a beating heart. In the second level, the blood pool boiled and the red bubbles burst and the heat wave steamed the skin. The AI guarded the gate and synthesized a hideous smile that echoed with a putrid nose and licked the nose, blood type replacement upgrade. Night Shark B base to O pseudo blood chest 5 bombs 38 yards 3.7 centimeters, Shen Qingqing's third B blood 4.1 centimeters 0.35 kilograms per square centimeter keyboard gate 98.7%. Implanted 0.05 second delay adaptive 99.95%, blood-stained and brain-dead synchronization. The phantom corpse floats and sinks in the blood pool, Night Shark's bullet hole plasma sprays, Shen Qingqing's keyboard gate melts ashes, and the pressure misalignment locks everyone's blood-type DNA. Li Xiu's gate was twisted and 99.99% avoided the blood bubbles exploding and sticky tearing. The terminal scanned the green pulsation and reflected the bottom of the pool. The violation, the blood-type implantation source AI static rendering, but the molecular chain was delayed by 0.05 seconds. The spectrum shifted by 0.022%. Mr. Zhang's private server heat trace overlay master ID was restored. Lin Fan projected gun flames to sweep away blood, mist, fire, tongue, and scorched smell. He staggered with a wolf howl and blood spattered on his face. The second level of the blood network is self-woven. B2O/A implants will kill us when we are infected. How can the detective dodge? Jiang Chen projected his thick neck and muscles and slid to the edge of the blood pool. His beastly eyes were red and tears were falling, and he was sobbing and choking. I deny it knowingly. Mr. Zhang pressured Night Shark to exchange 500 million black coins, and the blood-type iron certificate adaptively destroys us. There is no way to atone for it. Mr. Zhang's clone suddenly appeared in the center of the blood pool. His suit was crumpled and he was grinning with twisted beast eyes. The red gun barrel was swallowed up by the black hole. His voice was like rust scraping bones. Jiang Chen, traitor. You have been on the verge of knowing for 20 years. The conference denied that selling shields on the black market really killed billions. My debt is 30 billion, and you are a ghost in disguise. Blood type replacement lock detective A blood 72 kilograms prediction chain, full AI fake player suicide simulation, 99.99% brain dead. Jiang Chen roared loudly and his throat broke. His knees were weak and blood splashed, and the flesh rolled and rolled. He blinked and gasped, beast brother. The knowledge is disillusioned, the full frequency exposure is atonement, but the blood pool adapts. We should upgrade, we are avalanche. Shen Qingqing's voice was harsh. Black Vine traces the source of blood type, and anonymous accounts in the imperial capital are exposed by tens of billions, but 99.95% of the AI molecule chain is trapped in us. Li Xiu's mouth curled up slightly, and the lightning in his mind pushed back into the abyss. Blood type implantation is delayed by 0.05 seconds. The spectrum is shifted by 0.022%. Reverse deduction. Shen Qingqing restored the third case B blood log with 4.1 cm pixels at 0.022%. The green light terminal skyrocketed to simulate and superimpose the projection of the Night Shark Corpse B2O fake blood bullet casing. 38 code wind blade gate was 99.97%. The source, Mr. Zhang, tapped the static panel with his fingers on the console. The abyss of the psychological game devoured each other. The ridicule is overwhelming, the IQ bounces, shattered. The green vines at the terminal exploded and the blood pool boiled and reversed, the molecular chains snapped, the plasma turned into ashes and exploded, and the AI synthesized the ferocious roar and disintegrated. Blood type iron certificate adaptive, shattered. Lin Fan's wolf eyes. The bead-shaped hot air spray roared, the detective's reverse push molecules are deflected. In the second level, the blood type AI hot melt is completely broken, and it bounces up and burns blood. Jiang Chen's red eyes widened and his trembling worship shattered. He gasped and swallowed tears and blood. Wisdom crushes atonement. The edge of knowledge is disillusioned. The detective leads us in the third level. The veins of the maze abyss are creeping red and hot, and the black mist is sweet and licking. The third level of the Real kill trigger door is rusty and blood red, and countless corpse projections reappear. Ye Zhi's mark, Night Shark's 5 bombs, Shen Qingqing's hot melt, Li Xiu's a blood prediction suicide simulation, AI's ultimate guard, a giant shadow of 78 kilograms, is superimposed and synthesized. The beast's roar shook the bone marrow. 99.99% Real kill trigger. Overclocked external implant synchronizes real heart collapse 30 minutes/27 minutes before death, and more than 10 cases of insurance money laundering in the imperial capital are adaptively locked to brain death. The internet celebrity line was triggered to interweave the laser with a density of 17 lines/square meter to clear away the burnt smell, and everyone staggered and curled their hair in the hot wind. Mr. Zhang's clone reappeared in front of the console and tapped his finger on the panel with a grin. Super detective, the triple guard is overwhelming. Jiang Chen knows the truth and sells it to the edge. My movie host is bound to sign a real killing contract with billionaires in the black market. The virtual and real double kill game is launched. You can't stop the brain death even if you simulate it again. Lin Fan's gun swept the red line and the flames roared, and the wolf howled to pieces, the third level of the real killing network. The overclocking implant will destroy us. Where is the detective's trump card? Shen Qingqing's electroacupuncture beat wildly and her heart beat. The black vines are entangled and burning, but the adaptive 99.99% heat trace is fully locked. Jiang Chen's blood boiled, and he knelt down on the edge of the red line and his knuckles were corroded and he cried, "There's no way to atone. Mr. Zhang, you bastard, has been denying the case for 20 years, and we are in despair." Li Xiu's iron tempering trump card broke out, and the terminal green rain poured down, fully opened the anti-AI overclocking, and the whole case was frozen and pieced together with irrefutable evidence, footprint pixels 0.025%, pressure 78 kilograms, blood type 0.05 second delay, real kill overclocking 99.87% external implant source Mr. Zhang's private server crash logs all vomited, 10 case list projection reproduces the black market rich list of imperial capital money laundering cycle of tens of billions. He whispered the cold light of confidence in the abyss, all gathered together, crushed in an instant, broken. The green light surged like a green vine tornado, entangled in the AI giant's shadow and shattered, triggering the network to disintegrate. The red line swept away, and the ashes were filled with putrid smell. The corpse projection was reversed and turned into ashes. The iron evidence locked the hot traces of Mr. Zhang's clone. The AI roared and twisted and expired, real killing adaptive, all shattered. Lin Fan's projection of the wolf howl Wenjutu's worship exploded, Li Xiu's trump card magic. Triple AI crushing, IQ shot up to the sky. Shen Qingqing laughed and stabbed the lava, the black vines are eradicated, the server reveals the entire chain. Jiang Chen breathing heavily, his red eyes trembling and blinking wildly, he roared like a beast, swallowed tears, stood up, and pounced on Mr. Zhang's clone like a pair of iron pincers with his big hands. Beast boss. 20 years of informed atonement, arrest. The clone suit twisted and laughed and disintegrated, the heat of Jiang Chen's thick palm choke dissipated, and the worship of the projection was shattered. Leader of the detective, hunt down the murderer with your own hands. The reality channel blasted loudly, SWAT surrounded the company building with rotors tearing up the night, red lights roaring and blood nets swooping down, the guards' black shadow boots stomping on the mud and getting stuck in lasers. The fat police officer projected his fat lips trembling with sweat and mixed with the rain. SWAT avalanche surrounds God's team, the virtual and real attacks, and the clone of Mr. Zhang is locked up. The policewoman cried with blood and hugged her arms, gasping and trembling. Inspector Jiang arrested him personally, the boss is disillusioned and the ironclad victory is clear. But Mr. Zhang's clone finally laughed ferociously, and the blood mist reverberated, and the private server self-destructed and buzzed green. The light exploded and the log flew away. His beastly eyes were red and he roared, the ironclad evidence is shattered. The real body hides at the junction of reality and reality, the double kill game is activated, detective, 100% brain dead in the 5th round, the black market capital continues. The maze veins are crawling, black mist seeps out and rots sweet warm-up, all the projections open their eyes wide and the devil may cry hot air spray, hook bites to death. The real body escapes across the border, we chase in a bloody battle. The bomb counts down to 0:30 with a low roar shaking the ground and the gravel rolling down and clanking, the ultimate game is bloody again. Heavy rain poured down like thousands of bone-piercing needles, rust and blood flashed red in the freight elevator area, moldy rotten odor mixed with blood mist licked the nose like a rotten corpse twisting its entrails, rubble from the sewer rolled down and the tinkling roar was deafening. Bomb countdown 0:28 red light pulsating wall veins crept around the edges of the projection. Lin Fan's projected wolf eyes protrude from the hot spray, his throat is choked by broken glass, and he swallows the rain from the black hole of the gun barrel and sweeps away the black mist. The tongue of fire is scorched and smelly, the skin is hot and scalding, and the bone powder is sticky, Sir Li. Mr. Zhang's real body hook bites to death at the junction of reality and reality. The brain-machine vulnerability zone adapts 99.99% escape with dual identity. We fight in a bloody battle to kill the avalanche. There is a 17 square meter thermal melting crack in the shadow mirror on the east side of the maze shortcut, and the special police surrounds the team. The team is destroyed. Jiang Chen's thick neck veins are stretched, the projection knee is weak, and the blood and flesh are rolling, and he is red. The beast's eyes were trembling, the ghost was weeping, the smell was mixed with tears and blood, and he was gasping for air. There is no way to atone for my sin. For 20 years, the Beast brothers have forced me to deny it. Mr. Zhang's double body really killed the black market emperor. The fifth round of brain death is 100%. Our heart will collapse, detective, lead us Jedi. Fat police officer. The fat face of the far frequency projection was distorted, sweat evaporated, and the stench in his nose exploded. His legs were made of soft mud, he blinked wildly, rubbed his eyes, and screamed, slipping, the inspector has betrayed the mole crisis in full frequency. 78 kilograms of hot traces in the sewer freight elevator are flashing and fleeing. How can the green light of the God team chase after him? The bomb roars to shatter bones at 027. Shen Qingqing's electroacupuncture voice pierced the black mist, the sharp lava, and the thumping heartbeat. Her keyboard was typing furiously in the background, and the brain-ripping heat wave steamed her skin. Black Vine is repairing the system. The brain-computer interface vulnerability area is locked. Mr. Zhang's dual ID movie host / Zhang Bureau's hot trace overlay is disguised as a private elevator on the east side of the freight elevator. The imperial capital launders tens of billions of money and renews the contract with the black market tycoon, but since the virus backfired 99.87%, and the repair delay was 0.15 seconds. Our brains were overclocked and died simultaneously. The blood mist rolled through the wall, the veins accelerated, and the sweet and rotten wind exploded. The cracks at the interface between reality and reality creaked open like the bloody mouth of a giant beast. Countless brain-computer phantoms appeared, twisted and elongated, ghostly red lines intertwined with a density of 20 lines/square meter, sweeping away the burning smell and licking the tongue. Mr. Zhang's hideous smile echoed and he roared like a rusty man, detective, so what if the 3 levels are broken? The real body hides a brain-computer vulnerability at the junction of reality and reality. The fifth round of the Double Kill Bureau is launched. 99.99% of the suicide bombs are synchronized with reality. You will be brain dead if you chase me. The black market continued. All the projections staggered, the hot wind curly hair laser abraded the skin, nourished and corroded. Lin Fan's wolf howling gun. The flames swept the red line, tongues of fire buzzed and tore through the air, and the throat was shattered. The shortcut fissure laser net weaves itself. Detective, we are in despair. Jiang Chen roared wildly, ran and knelt down on the edge of the fissure. His knuckles were bloody and muddy, blinking wildly and bursting into tears. A bloody battle for atonement is useless. Mr. Zhang's beast predicted that we will be destroyed, and the real SWAT team outflanked the guards' black shadow boots and got stuck in the mud. Avalanche. Li Xiu's pupils shrank from the abyss, the tip of the needle flashed with cold light, and his heart was quenched like cold iron. Reverse push game. Mr. Zhang's dual identity as the film host / Zhang Bureau's heat trace 78 kg superimposed image. The brain-computer vulnerability area was adaptively upgraded but the spectrum was shifted by 0.008 Hz and exposed. The next step was synchronized with the real suicide bomb countdown at 0.25 to preheat the imperial capital for renewal. And the private elevator freight elevator was disguised as reality and hidden on the 4th underground floor on the east side. The terminal's green light pulsed sharply, and his fingers tapped and hummed, stimulating the brain to simulate full acceleration. He muttered to himself in a low voice, and the psychological abyss devoured each other like knives quenching poison. The ridicule is overwhelming, the IQ bounces, chase. The green vines are wrapped around the red thread, the laser net is disintegrating, and it is gray and rotten. The stench fills the air, and the projection superimposes the picture to freeze. the brain-computer loopholes, cracks, and heat traces lock Mr. Zhang's clone suit, wrinkled and twisted, with a twisted smile, synchronized with the real-life suicide bomb C4 tied to the carotid artery, weight 78 kilograms, pressure 0.42 kilograms per square centimeter prediction chain. Lin Fan's wolf eyes were bulging with hot air spray, his throat was gulping and he was adoring and roaring. Li Xiu's reverse thrust is amazing. The laser network is broken and a shortcut is opened, let's bounce the blood path to pursue the intersection of reality and reality. Jiang Chen was breathing heavily, his red eyes were shattered and trembling, he was blinking wildly. The detective is smart. Atonement follows, the real-life clone searches the freight elevator on the east side and I lead the special police to attack. Shen Qingqing laughed with electric shock and the lava shrilled, the black vine has been repaired 99.95%. The hot spots in the vulnerability area are all locked, and the renewal list of the Imperial City households is revealed, the second black market rich man is warming up. The blood gate of the fissure swallows up all the shadows, the abyss tilts, the brain-machine loophole area at the junction of reality and reality is cold and treacherous, the veins on the wall squirm, red-hot blood threads crawl across the field of vision like a living insect gnawing at it, the sweet and rotten smell is mixed with electromagnetic buzzing, stabbing the brain and corroding the taste buds. The brain-machine fragments under the feet are paving the floor, cracking and shattering. Roaring, all beasts are waking up, the heartbeat is roaring, shaking the bone marrow. The giant double figure of Mr. Zhang suddenly appeared in front of the central console and tapped his fingers on the panel. The grinning beast with red eyes and the black hole of the gun swallowed up the light. His rusty sound echoed through the wall veins and he roared, "Traitor Jiang Chen. For 20 years, you have been a shield and denied selling out. My dual real body has been at the intersection of reality and reality. The bomb is destroyed and the neck explodes in real time. The debt of 30 billion and the black market continues to be 100 billion. The detective is chasing you and you are 100% dead. The guards will outflank you and destroy you in real life." Lin Fan's projection staggered and he was trapped in debris. The gun swept away the giant shadow and the tongue of fire licked the air. The heat wave burned his skin, double body adaptive upgrade. The shortcut vulnerability is laser backlash. How can the detective break it? Jiang Chen's thick neck was projected and he knelt down on the edge of the fragments. His beastly eyes collapsed with blood and tears, and he sobbed, "Beast brother. I can't atone for my guilt in reality." The police chased the freight elevator on the east side, but the bomb roared at us at 020. The fat police officer's fat lips were trembling with sweat, his nose was full of sweat, his legs were soft and muddy, and he was gasping for breath. The inspector's ground assistance is chaotic. The green light of the magic team is fake and real. How do you search for the detective's clone in reality? Li Xiu's gate was twisted and 99.995% evaded the brain-computer phantom explosion, which was sticky and tearing. The green pulsation of the terminal reflected the underside of the operating platform. The dual ID spectrum was shifted by 0.008 Hz. The heat trace was 78 kilograms. The shadow was disguised as a private elevator. The C4 molecular chain of the synchronized suicide bomb was delayed by 0.03 seconds to lock the source. The safe was preheated by melting on the fourth underground floor of the underground safe on the east side. The lightning in his mind pushed back into the abyss. If you want to rise, suppress it first, push down and bounce up, clone. The terminal's green rain poured down and the clone's projection exploded on the reality channel. The picture was superimposed on the east side of the freight elevator. The iron door creaked and opened the rain curtain. In reality, Jiang Chen's roaring beast's blood is boiling and he leads the team to attack the ladder with iron claws and iron pliers, smashing the door and corroding it. His red pupils are wide open and trembling, and his worship is shattered. The detective's clone is attacking in reality. A bloody battle for atonement. I locked the East Passage guard and destroyed it. Shen Qingqing's voice boomed with heat, black vines entangled the source of both bodies, repairing 99.99% of the system's loopholes are fully opened, projection of the list of rich people who have renewed their contract in the imperial capital. The veins at the junction of reality and reality crept wildly, the black mist seeped out and warmed up, Mr. Zhang twisted his body with a sinister smile, the console panel cracked and shattered, his beastly eyes were red, his throat rolled with rust, he choked with sobs, the gun flame swept away the green vines, the fire tongue burned and smelled, and licked the air, impossible. Dual identity adaptive 99.99%, even the real-life clone search can't stop the neck explosion and simultaneous brain death. But the green light surged like a green vine tornado, wrapped around the giant shadow, and the heat traces disintegrated into ashes. The countdown to the bomb was 0:10, and the red light pulsed and extinguished, and the cracks in the brain machine were sealed and the rotten smell filled the air. Lin Fan projected the wolf howl and worshipped the winner with the exploding barrel of the gun hitting the ground, Li Xiu's clone magic skill. The heat traces on both bodies are broken and all shortcuts are broken, and the blood is fired to chase reality. Jiang Chen gasped, swallowed the tears and blood, got up and threw the broken iron pincers with his big hand. Ban roared, "Wisdom makes atonement. Leader of the detective, I will personally search for the hiding place on the east side of reality." Shen Qingqing's electric acupuncture maniacal laugh was sharp and harsh, "The system repair is complete, the black vine eradicates the imperial city chain, the 4 underground floors of the hot trail are locked." The reality channel exploded with harsh torrential rain. The iron door of the freight elevator area twisted and opened. The SWAT red lights and blood net rotors buzzed and swooped into the night. Laser chaos and guard black shadow boots were stuck in the mud and splashed. The burnt smell exploded. Li Xiu's clone's cold light pupils and abyss scanning terminal's green veins surged and pointed directly at the 78 kilograms pulsating heat trace of the safe on the 4th floor underground. Jiang Chen showed up with a thick neck and strong tendons, leading the team to jump on the stairs and roll the rain-stinking mixed blood mud. His beastly eyes were red, he blinked his knuckles and smashed the door, roaring with corrosion, "Guide from the detective's clone. Atone for sin and arrest the murderer personally." Mr. Zhang is hiding on the 4th floor underground to warm up the suicide bomb, special police attack and bloody battle. The fat police officer's plump face was distorted, sweat evaporated, and he screamed and fell to his knees, splashing in the mud. Inspector is victorious in the avalanche on the ground. The avatar of the God team flashes green light, how can the detective predict where to hide? The female police officer projected red tears and blood, folded her arms, trembled and gasped. Inspector Jiang became disillusioned and turned sincere, and the boss's real identity is completely locked. The 4 floors of the underground passage were filled with moldy electromagnetic buzzing and piercing brains. The walls were crawling with blood and red heat. The iron door of the safe creaked open and the rotten sweet wind blasted away the heat wave and steamed the skin. Li Xiu's avatar twisted his gait to dodge the laser residual net and swept the air. The terminal scanned the green shadow and the corpse fell to the ground. Zhang, the total suit is crumpled, C4 residual plasma is splattered on the neck, 78 kilograms of weight and pressure are 0.42 kilograms per square centimeter, shrapnel is embedded in the arteries, bullet holes are embedded in 5 places, 38-yard footprints are surrounded by pseudo-blood pools are boiling, the pupils are turned up, a hideous smile is solidifying, the animal pupils are red, the throat is shattered, rusty blood is spraying. Jiang Chen's roaring beast's blood was boiling and he pounced on the corpse. His big hands and iron pliers locked his throat and his fleshy palms were corroded and he burst into tears. He cried, "Beast boss. 20 years of suppressing the case and knowingly atone for it, the real corpse is locked, and the real murder shady story is over." The SWAT team members all opened their eyes wide and bulged with the hot air spray. They swallowed and swallowed in admiration and exploded. The fat police officer was fat. With trembling lips, she blinked her eyes and screamed, "Mr. Zhang committed suicide by blowing up his neck." The detective clone's prediction was so accurate that he crushed the real and false double kill and won. The policewoman burst into tears and trembled with blood, crossed her arms and panted, worshipping in pieces, IQ bounced and I saluted. Tens of billions of money laundering in the imperial capital was exposed, and the list of 10 rich people in the black market was irrefutable. However, the pupils of Li Xiu's clone suddenly shrank and the cold light needle tip pushed backwards, and the green light pulse of the terminal skyrocketed to scan the corpse's blood pool, which was inconsistent. The blood type O pseudobase molecular chain spectrum shifted by 0.015%, the DNA-locked B-type authentic 78 kg did not match Zhang's total A blood prediction chain, and the static rendering pixels of the neck bomb residue were 0.018% copied from the night shark bullet hole AI. Completion. Psychological abyss lightning game, the reverse hook bites to death. The corpse's blood type does not match, the double kill's true body is hidden, continued. The corpse smiles ferociously, distorts the veins of the wall, and roars, reverberating and warming up. The black mist at the junction of reality and reality seeps out with red threads and reweaves the density 25, all the projections stared with wide eyes, howling like wolves, crying like ghosts, spraying hot air. The irrefutable evidence of blood type is shattered. The real murderers counterattack, and our bloody battle resumes. The aftermath of the bomb roared, shaking the ground, and the gravel rolled down and jingled. The final puzzle was bloody and bone-gnawing. The rotten electromagnetic hum of the underground passage on the 4th floor gradually weakened, as if a giant beast exhaled its last breath of rotten sweet smell. The blood threads on the wall squirmed and slowly solidified into dark red frozen blocks. Rainwater seeped from the cracks into the jingling gravel and rolled down. The low bubbly gurgling sound mixed with the boiling blood pool was like the afterbeat of the heart. Li Xiu's avatar, a black windbreaker, is wet and sticky to the skin, and the cold light pupils freeze the body in the abyss. Mr. Zhang's pseudocorpse suit is wrinkled and cracked on the neck. C4 residue plasma is splattered with 78 kg weight and pressure of 0.42 kg per square centimeter, and shrapnel is embedded in the arteries. Bullet holes are embedded in 5 places and 38-yard footprints are rolling around in a pool of pseudo-blood. But the terminal green light pulsation surges and scans are inconsistent. The blood type O pseudobase molecular chain spectrum shifts by 0.015%, the DNA-locked B-type authentic does not match Zhang's total A blood prediction chain, and the static rendering pixels of the neck bomb residue are 0.018% plagiarized and completed by the night shark bullet hole AI. The rust and blood mist in the air faded away, replaced by the creaking sound of the safe's iron door, the special police red light blood net's rotor buzzing and circling, and the residual laser net was extinguished and the ashes fell to the sticky tongue. The veins in Jiang Chen's thick neck were bulging. His big hands released the throat of the fake corpse like a pair of iron pliers, and the fleshy palms were left with rot. The beast's pupils were crimson red and there were traces of dried tears and blood. His knees were weak and the flesh was covered in blood. When he stood up, his throat gurgled and he choked like swallowing broken glass. Detective, the blood type of the fake corpse doesn't match? The Beast brothers have been investigating the case for 20 years. I'll kiss it. The ironclad evidence of the chokehold was actually the blood of body double night shark Qinhao B. The bloody battle of atonement was shattered. We exposed Boss Zhang's shady story in full, but it was all in vain. He gasped intermittently, his red eyes widened and the hot air sprayed out. His throat exploded like lava and he roared. The SWAT team members all took a step back and their boots were splashed in the mud. The officer's fat face was distorted, sweat evaporated, and the smell of his nose exploded. His legs were soft and muddy, he blinked wildly, rubbed his eyes, and screamed, sliding to the edge of the blood pool. Inspector chokes the fake corpse. Blood type B authentic night shark DNA lock bone gnashing bones. The policewoman's eyes were red, her arms were trembling, she was gasping for breath, and she worshipped to pieces. The projection was synchronized and the whole police frequency was buzzing and piercing her brain. Sir Li Xiu salutes. The list of 10 rich people in the black market who laundered tens of billions of money in the imperial capital is irrefutable. 0.018% of the fake corpse pixels are copied from the bullet holes, and the real body hides deep brain-computer vulnerabilities in VR to continue to escape. Lin Fan's projected wolf eyes protrude from the hot air spray, his throat is shattered, the black hole of his gun barrel is licked by the scorched smelly smoke, and his feet are stuck in sticky debris. Worship explodes, the wolf howls, and the gun flames hit the ground with a crackling sound. Li Xiu's clone predicts the magic skill. Fake corpse 78 kilograms, superimposed shadow, night shark Chenhao stand-in, neck C4 suicide synchronized plagiarism AI static completion of bullet holes in the second level. All 4 levels of bloody battle shortcuts are opened. Ye Zhi's file list of 10 cases is backed up on the dark web with irrefutable evidence. The bullet burns the blood, and the full picture of the virtual and real double kill game is shattered. Shen Qingqing's electric needle voice pierced the remaining fog, the sharp lava, and the thumping heartbeat. She was typing furiously on the keyboard, and the brain-tearing heat wave faded away, Black Vine eradicated and repaired 100%. The private server's self-destruction log was completely vomited, the pseudocorpse B blood source Night Shark backup was restored, and the spectrum of Mr. Zhang's real body A blood heat trace was shifted by 0.008 Hz to lock the VR depth. Junction point, I block the exit channel, and the list of rich people who have renewed their contracts in the imperial capital is exposed on the full police frequency. Her wild laughter turned sharp and harsh, and the electromagnetic buzzing was like a receding tide. The projections all opened their eyes wide and swallowed the hot air spray, and the sense of accomplishment was lingering like the residual warmth of a green vine tornado. Li Xiu's clone's gait is slow and steady, 99.995% distorted aftertaste, the green pulsation of the terminal reflects the blood pool, and the abyss is reversed. Fake corpse replacement Night Shark Chenhao B-type basal to O fake blood implantation 0.1% delay, neck bomb molecular chain static rendering plagiarized 27 minutes before death. Overclocked bullet holes in 5 places, 38-yard footprints, pressure 3.7 cm AI dynamic completion, source Mr. Zhang's dual ID movie master/Zhang bureaus. Private elevator camouflages the heat trace overlay on the 4th underground floor on the east side, but the real body escape VR deep brain computer vulnerability adaptive 99.99% spectrum offset is exposed. The 5th round of Braindead preheating the black market Imperial City renews the billion-level real killing cycle of billionaires. The psychologically cold iron tempered the self and muttered in a low voice, the desire to rise is suppressed first, and the 4 levels are pushed up and bounced, the whole picture is dismantled, and the iron evidence is harvested. Finger tapping simulates the buzzing to accelerate to full speed, and the green rain pours down. The projection freezes. Ye Zhi's mark, 42 yards of blood footprints, 4.2 centimeters, pressure misalignment 0.4 kilograms per square centimeter type A blood stain B transfer implantation 0.1%. Night Shark gun 5 bullets 38 yards 3.7 centimeters wind blade gate 99.97%. Third Shinqingqing B blood 4.1 centimeters 0.35 kilograms per square centimeter keyboard gate 98.7%. Fourth Li Xiu A blood 72 kilograms prediction chain, fully AI fake player suicide simulation more than 10 cases of serial insurance money laundering, company debt 30 billion black market tens of billions of blame. Cycle. Black fog red line 25 lines/square meter rewoven adaptive intermittent roar, the aftermath of the bomb shook the ground at 0:10 and the gravel rolled down and jingled. The SWAT team members all knelt down and their mud boots were stuck in a pool of blood. The fat police officer's fat lips were trembling with sweat and smelly nose. He blinked his eyes and stood up and screamed in worship. The detective projected the whole case with irrefutable evidence. The footprints and gait were shifted by 0.005 Hz. The blood-type molecules were 0.022%. The source was locked by overclocking and external implantation. The pseudocorpse Night Shark stand-in was completely destroyed. We greenlight under the leadership of the Avalanche. The list of black market tycoons was exposed on the police channel and the money laundering chain in the imperial capital was broken. The policewoman burst into tears with her arms folded and trembling, then laughed and gasped in admiration. Sir Li's IQ bounced and saluted. The 30 billion debt of VR real murder was exposed. Director Zhang claimed that the double real murderer of the bureau was hiding in the depths of VR. Our special police attacked and blocked the real channel. Jiang Chen roared roughly as the beast's blood boiled. He held up the iron clamps of the fake corpse and stood up. The waves of flesh rolled and the smell of rain and mixed blood faded away. His red eyes widened and trembled. He blinked wildly and burst into tears. Then he worshipped the broken beast and roared. The detective led the atonement and achieved victory. After 20 years of suppressing the case, the knowledge was disillusioned. The fake corpse choked the throat and the iron evidence turned into a bloodbath of atonement. I led the special police to attack the east side in reality. The exit point of the underground passage is blocked. Mr. Zhang's true body VR has a deep brain-computer vulnerability. The frequency spectrum is shifted by 0.008 Hz, we are attacking. Lin Fan projected the wolf howl to win, and the bead-shaped hot air spray roared. The information is all synchronized. Lin Fan blocked the 25th red line of the AI Legion, and the detective approached the junction. The fifth round of warm-up, blood-burning pursuit. The hot wave of Shenqingqing's voice turned soft and electric. The exit channel is blocked by black vines by 99.99%, the deep heat trace of VR locks Mr. Zhang's real body with 78 kilograms of a blood. The anonymous user in the imperial capital renews the contract of the 10 rich people. The projection freezes. The black market's billion-level real killing experience is fully exposed. The private server gray fly virus route eliminate. The veins in the passage wall slowly slowed down and faded away. The fissure at the junction of reality and reality clicked and sealed. The blood-swallowing shadow abyss tilted and lingered. Li Xiu's clone's pupils scanned with cold light, and the green light surged and approached the remaining shadow mirror on the east side of the junction. The fragments of the brain and machine covered the ground and cracked into pieces, roaring, and the beasts woke up and their heartbeats slowed down. The crowd's projected superimposed picture freezes the sense of achievement like the lingering warmth of green vines. The whole police buzzing is piercing the brains and the wave of celebration surges. The fat police officer twists his fat face and smiles, sweat evaporates and screams. Inspector's real-life assault green light flash. Leader of the God Team Clone Li Sir, our name is the sound soared to the sky, and the shady situation was shattered. The policewoman's arms were trembling and her red eyes were shining, the smart detective. The list of 10 cases is irrefutable, the insurance claims cycle of money laundering has been stopped, and the world has changed because of Surly, the aftermath of the VR game's real murder conspiracy. Li Xiu muttered to himself, the mental abyss devouring each other's blades, harvest the fruits, the 4 levels of victory, the treasures of fame and status, the black market list, the ironclad evidence of the imperial household, the terminal upgrade anti-AI algorithm is fully activated. Terminal green vein reflection projection, police task force upgrade level, the genius detective Li Xiu is famous all over the internet, the VR company's top executives collapsed and debts of 30 billion were exposed, Shenqingqing's status as a hacker ally bounced through the 7th level of the internet and became a legend. Lin Fan was cleared of suspicion and the informant hero Inspector Jiang Chen redeemed himself and became a full-scale cult. The special police rotor, the red light, the peripheral disk of the blood net, rotates and patrols, and the drone tears through the night. The rain fades away, and the moldy rotten gas and mixed blood mist in the underground passage licks the nose and turns to a refreshing electromagnetic drone, like the tolling of a victory bell. Jiang Chen swallowed heavily and stood up. He patted Li Xiu's clone's shoulder with his big hand and said, Detective, in reality, I led the team to blockade the private elevator on the east side. The special police attacked and wiped out all the guards. Atonement follows. Your reputation is sky-high. My old bones are in a stable position. The shadow of 20 years has bounced back. His beastly eyes turned from red to clear, and the thick veins on his neck calmed down like iron. Lin Fan's projection staggered to his feet, his wolf eyes flashed and the smoke from the gun barrel was scorched. He swallowed hard and worshipped, my benefactor Li Sir. Ye Zhi's dark web backup has all the evidence of 10 cases. I am a game master turned police informant. I am a status treasure live broadcast with thousands of people's ironclad alibi bouncing up. I will block the red line of the AI Legion, approaching the junction point to continue pursuit. Shen Qingqing's electroacupuncture smile turned gentle and sharp. The black vine virus is eradicated from the black market, money laundering in the imperial capital. I will back up the tens of billions list, all your terminal data treasures will be fully opened, and your alliance status and reputation will be gained. The exit channel is blocked, and the hot traces of Mr. Zhang in the depths of VR are approaching. The fat police officers knelt on the ground and stood up, their fat lips trembling, and they roared with a faint sweat. They blinked wildly and worshipped. The detective's aftermath is a complete victory. The pseudo-corpse night shark stand-in's blood type has been tampered with from B to O, and all are dismantled. Our SWAT team has added green light, and the world's VR real killer collapsed because Li Xiu's IQ was crushed. After heavy rain, the rust in the freight elevator area flickered and turned to gray. The moldy and rotten smell faded away and was replaced by the burnt smell of victory. Li Xiu's clone approached the gap in the shadow mirror and the green light pulsed sharply. The terminal simulation reproduced the full scene of the double kill. Director Zhang advocated that the Bureau bind the mastermind to sign a real kill contract to promote the black market, and the brain machine was overclocked. External implants are synchronized with the real death, forging irrefutable evidence to frame players' insurance claims and laundering money in anonymous accounts in the imperial capital. Ye Zhi was the first to perform strangulation tests, the night shark kill list. The third was Shen Qingqing's B-blood keyboard gate forgery. The fourth was Li Xiu's A-blood prediction chain, and the guard's airborne blood network pursuit order shattered all 4 levels. The sense of accomplishment was like a downpour of green rain washing away the blood and mud, and the projections roared in unison, blasting hot air spray into their throats. Sir Li led the victory. Fame, status, treasures were harvested, and the aftermath of the shady story calmed down the world. But the remaining cracks in the shadow mirror creaked open, the black mist seeped out, and roared. It restarted. The red line density was 30 lines/square meter. The self-organized veins squirmed. A giant shadow that was a fusion of reality and virtuality suddenly appeared in the center, Mr. Zhang's real suit, without wrinkles, with a grinning beast with red eyes. The gun barrel was swallowed by a black hole. There was no trace of C4 heat on the neck, 78 kilograms. The spectrum of the A-blood original is shifted by 0.008 Hz and exposed, and the sound of rust echoes through the wall veins and roars. Detective, what if the 4 levels are broken? The 5th round of brain death is 100% activated by the fusion of real body, virtual reality, and the black market imperial capital renews the rich man's warm-up. In the final battle, who will rule the ups and downs? Lin Fan's wolf howling gun sweeping the red line. The flames scorched and stank. Jiang Chen roared loudly and smashed the door in reality. Shen Qingqing was entangled with black vines and exited the blockade. The crowd's eyes widened and the hot air spray devil weeping worship exploded. Hook bites to death. Detective intelligence bullet, we fight to the end. The green light surged, the channel trembled, and the final puzzle was bloody again. The remaining gaps in the shadow mirror creaked and burst like the bloody mouth of a giant beast. The black mist exuded a rotten sweet smell and licked the nose like 1,000 squirming insects. The self-woven veins with a density of 30 lines/square meter danced and tore into the sky. The laser net burned the air and the burnt smell exploded and stung the nose and throat. Mr. Zhang's real body is a fusion of reality and reality standing in the center. The suit has no wrinkles, the grinning animal has red eyes, and the gun barrel is swallowed by the black hole. There is no C4 heat trace on the neck, and the 78 kilograms A-blood authentic spectrum is exposed with a 0.008 Hz shift. The 5th round of brain death is 100% preheated and roars like an overclocked heart. The veins in the passage wall squirm and restart, rotten juice drips and splashes on the boots, rain pours from the cracks, the remaining bubbles in the mixed blood pool gurgling and boiling, and the special police peripheral red light blood net rotors buzz and tear through the night, panting rapidly. Detective, so what if the 4 levels are broken? Mr. Zhang's grinning beast's roar echoed against the rusty wall, the flames of the gun spat out the stinking bullet shells and jingled and bounced, Lin Fan projected the wolf howl and the gun swept the red line, fire rain splashed and the heat wave steamed his skin, his wolf eyes protruded, the hot air spray throat shattered, and he stumbled and fell into sticky pieces, the hook bites. I can't stop the AI Legion Red Line 30, the bloody battle between the detectives' smart bombs is final. The red line is like a blood python, Lin Fan's projection is tearing apart and arcs are flashing. The wolf howls and screams, the fragments of the projection fall down and lick the ashes. His knees are weak and the blood and mud are rolling, and he blinks in admiration. Sir Li, the intelligence is fully activated, the maze seal, I can't survive the 5th round of brain-dead overclocking 99.99%. Jiang Chen's real-life projection roared with blood boiling. He smashed the private elevator door with his big hand and iron pliers, causing sparks to explode in his nose. The SWAT rotors rushed out of the red light and attacked the guards with a blood net and their guns and flames danced wildly. I'm atoning for the attack. The East Passage blocked Zhang Ju's real body, 20 years of brothers and beasts exposed in full, detective leader, we attack the reality brain dead. However, the iron seal of the elevator door creaked, and the guard's laser net attacked the SWAT police with intermittent screams. The fat police officer's fat face was distorted with sweat, smelly nose, legs slippery and muddy, kneeling in a pool of blood. It's useless for the inspector to smash the door. The fusion body is 99.99% adaptive, the red line density is soaring 40 lines, the green light of the detective's clone is about to disappear, and we are turning into despair. The policewoman burst into tears, folded her arms, trembled and panted, worshipping to pieces, sir. Mr. Zhang laughs ferociously and uses the A-blood gun to show his true result. In the 5th round, we are brain dead and we expose the shady story in full frequency, but it is empty. Shen Qingqing's electroacupuncture voice pierced the black mist, the sharp lava, and the thumping heartbeat. She pounded the keyboard furiously in the background, and the brain-ripping heat wave steamed her skin. The exit channel is 99.99% burned by black vines, but Mr. Zhang's private server is adaptively upgraded with hot traces, and the list of the 10 richest people in the imperial capital has been renewed and the projection is fixed. The virus backlash is delayed by 0.02 seconds, and the detective terminal is linked. I can't hold it in. The black fog and red line gnawed at the projection, and Shen Qingqing's arc-flashing voice was choked with blood. Everyone's projections retreated and their boots were splashed in the mud. The hot air spray gurgled in their throats and swallowed in despair like black vines wrapping their throats. Li Xiu's avatar, the black trench coat, is wet and sticky to the skin, the cold light pupils are frozen in the abyss. Mr. Zhang is grinning ferociously at the gun barrel, the terminal green pulsation is skyrocketing, the scanning violation, the spectrum of the fusion body is shifted by 0.008 Hz, the neck is exposed, there is no C4 heat trace, the superimposed image is bound to the main ID. Zhang Bureau is double, the 5th round of brain-dead overclocking, external implantation, source private. Server, self-destruct log residual temperature, 0.015% pixel remaining, red line self-woven veins, AI control core molecular chain, B2A implantation delay, 0.1% plagiarism, Ye Zhi's 42 code full case cycle. The rusty blood mist in the air mixed with the rotten sweetness licks the nose and turns to the smell of burnt bullet shells. The psychological coldness of the iron quenching makes him whisper to himself, the desire to rise is suppressed first, and the 5 levels are pressed to bounce up, the ultimate AI control, dismantling. Finger tapping and humming simulates full acceleration, anti-AI algorithm upgrades, self-made virus black vine 2nd generation plant entering the preheating period, the green rain pours and the projection is reversed. Mr. Zhang's real 78 kg gate is shifted by 0.005 Hz and the gun-lifted CCTV is copied from the Night Shark 5 bomb 38-yard 3.7 cm, and the brain-computer vulnerability adaptive 99.99% weakness locks the spectrum to a thermal melting point of 0.008 Hz. Mr. Zhang's ferocious laughing beast's eyes were filled with red gun flames, and its tongue was burning and swallowing the projection. Lin Fan howled intermittently, and the projection shattered and ashes fell. Detective, the maze seal failed, the red thread ate me. Jiang Chen roared and smashed the door, but to no avail, the special police screamed in agony. The fat police officer's fat lips trembled, sweat evaporated, he blinked and rubbed his eyes and screamed, "The fusion body is invincible. They are all destroyed, and the detective's green light is isolated." But Li Xiu's clone's gait was slow and steady, with a 99.995% distorted aftertaste. The terminal green veins surged and the needle tip scanned the red line veins. The second generation of the virus Black Vine instantly released the molecular chain and was implanted in reverse for 0.03 seconds. The red line density dropped by 20 lines/square meter. The arc burst flashed and rained down. Shen Qingqing's electroacupuncture voice rekindled her sharp and harsh laughter, Li Xiu virus linkage magic skill. Black Vine 2 burns through the real server, Mr. Zhang's heat trace spectrum is locked to 0.008 Hz, the imperial capital's tens of billions of money laundering lists are all vomited, I hacked the core of the shadow maze on the third floor of the underground at the same time. The buzz of her keyboard turned into a victory bell. The projections widened their eyes and bulged with hot air, sprayed their throats and roared with admiration. The fat police officer's fat face twisted and smiled, and he stood up and screamed in worship, "Hackers help." The virus backfires and the red line disintegrates, and the detective wisdom crushes the ultimate AI. The policewoman's red tears dried up, her arms were trembling, and she gasped firmly, "The green light is soaring. The fusion body's veins are broken, we bounce up." Lin Fan projected the wolf eyes and flashed the gun barrel. The remaining smoke was scorching and smelly. He stood up, howled like a wolf, sealed the red line of the maze, and fired fire tongues, information synchronization. The fifth round of brain-dead preheating lock, I sealed the remaining gap of the shadow mirror, Li Xiu's benefactor, the status hero bounced. Jiang Chen's rough roar, beast serum, big hand iron pliers finally broke through the elevator door, sparks exploded in his nose, the red light blood network of the special police rushed into the attack, atonement attack in full swing. Director Zhang's true identity is revealed, and the beast who has been pressing the case for 20 years is shackled with his own hands. The passage trembled, and the gravel rolled down and jingled. The black mist was replaced by the burning smell of the virus, and Mr. Zhang's grinning beast's eyes were red, twisted, the barrel of the gun was trembling, and the black hole was swallowed up by the remaining flames. The tip of Li Xiuhan's pupil approaches the fusion body, and the terminal simulation reproduces the full picture projection and freeze frame. The company's top executives have a debt of 30 billion, a conspiracy to make money in the black market. Director Zhang advocated binding the bureau to sign a contract to promote a 100 million level experience. The brain machine is overclocked and external implants are synchronized with the real death, forged footprints and blood types, AI complements end. Blames players, insurance claims cycle, 10 anonymous accounts in the imperial capital, Ye Zhi kills the first person to test 42-yard code 4.2 centimeters, pressure misalignment 0.4 kilograms per square centimeter. A blood B transfer implantation, Night Shark shot and killed Chen Hao. B blood 5 bullets 38 yards 3.7 centimeters copied the wind blade gate. The third Shen Qingqing B blood keyboard 4.1 centimeters 0.35 kilograms per square centimeter. The fourth Li Xiu A blood 72 kilograms prediction chain. The serial evidence of more than 10 cases was resurrected. The core molecular chain of the second-generation black vine of the virus broke and cracked, and the heat traces on the neck of the fusion suit cracked and exposed, and the spectrum shifted sharply by 0.015%. Mr. Zhang roared and screamed, his throat gurgling, and he choked like swallowing broken glass. Impossible. The green light reverse thrust is so accurate, the virus hot melt private server self-destructed and vomited. The superimposed images of all the projections roared, and the hot air spray shredded the throat. The fat police officer's plump lips trembled and roared, his sweaty and smelly nose blinked wildly, and he knelt down and stood up, the detective dismantled the double-kill mechanism. The complete picture of the serial killing is irrefutable, and the company's high-ranking officer 30 billion layers of debts were exposed, and our special police officers attacked the shackles. The female police officer folded her arms and trembled, then smiled and her red eyes flashed in admiration. IQ is crushing and I bow. Ye Zhi is fair, and the fake corpse and perjury have completely broken the list of rich people in the black market. The whole network is exposed. Lin Fan howled as the gun flames sealed the cracks, and Shen laughed softly and sharply with the electric needle. The server was wiped out and the database was resurrected for 10 cases, and the arrest warrants for the imperial households were synchronized. The legendary status and reputation of the allies were both gained. Jiang Qin gasped, swallowed hard and slapped Li Xiu on the shoulder with his palm, and the beast's eyes were clear and trembling. The detective leader has made atonement. Mr. Zhang is in real shackles. I led the special police to press the case and confess. Mr. Zhang's fusion body disintegrated, the black mist evaporated, the sweet smell faded, his suit turned into a ferocious smile, his beastly pupils were red, and the hot air sprayed out. His knees were weak, and waves of bloody mud and flesh rolled up his throat. He screamed and confessed intermittently, atonement. The company has a debt of 30 billion, a real killing experience on the black market to sell rich people in the imperial capital, brain-machine overclocking implants to synchronize reality. Ye Zhi discovered a list of murders, a night shark gun with 5 bullets to suppress the case, and a forged footprint and blood type to frame Lin Fan's insurance policy. Pay tens of billions for money laundering. All moves. The owner's ID is bound to double, and the 5th round of brain death is for the ultimate profit. The special police's rotor red light blood net shackles the neck, Jiang Chen's throat is sizzling with iron claws, and the remaining rod is roaring. 20 years of Beast Brothers, full-frequency recording is irrefutable. The projection synchronized the full-frequency alarm buzzing to stimulate the brain to celebrate, and the channel's moldy electromagnetic hum turned to the victory bell and the fresh raindrops washed away the blood and mud. Li Xiu's clone's slow and steady gait, green light pulsing, reflected the broken iron seal, and the psychological abyss devoured each other's blades. UK muttered to himself, victory in all 5 levels, irrefutable proof of growth. VR ethics is on the verge of collapse, and the boundaries between reality and reality must be reshaped. Terminal projection freeze-frame achievements. The police task force is world-famous, and Li Xiu's genius detective reaches the top of the network terminal. The anti-AI algorithm was upgraded permanently, the top executives of the VR company collapsed and their debts were exposed and liquidated. Shen Qingqing's hacker ally's internet legend status rose to 7 levels and burned through into a myth. Lin Fan was cleared of suspicion and turned into an informant. The master of the hero game live broadcast and worshipped by thousands of people. Inspector Jiang Chen atones and becomes sincere. The full-channel leader of the SWAT avalanche wins the shadow of 20 years. The fat police officers stood up together, smiled with their fat faces, sweat evaporated, and shouted, "The detective changes the world." The real murder plot is shattered, the victims are given justice, and our reputation is skyrocketing. The female police officer's red eyes flashed, her arms folded and she smiled firmly. Sir Li reflects on VR ethics, we look forward to a future without shady things. Lin Fan projected his wolf eyes and worshipped Yuan, swallowing his throat and stood up, my benefactor, sir, the dark network backup of Ye Zhi's files will last forever, and all my informant status and treasures will be reborn, the virtual and real worlds will be reborn because of you. Shen Qingqing's electroacupuncture smile turned gentle and sharp, and her voice was like a receding tide, the black vines of the virus will be eradicated forever, the money laundering chain in the imperial capital will be broken, and the black market will be wiped out. Our allies will work together in the future of VR. Pure. Jiang Qin calmed down the veins on his thick neck and patted his shoulders with his big hands and his eyes were full of admiration. Detective, the real arrest has been completed, the whole case is closed, old bones will follow, and you will take the lead in reshaping ethics. The veins in the passage wall solidified and the dark red frozen block turned to gray, the rust and blood in the freight elevator area after heavy rains flickered and turned to the morning light, the moldy and rotten smell faded away, and the smell of gunpowder smoke turned into fresh electromagnetic buzzing like the pulse of new life. Li Xiu's cold pupils swept over the crowd's projections and superimposed the heat wave of worship. He walked close to the iron-sealed shadow mirror and poured down the green rain to wash away the remaining blood. He muttered to himself in a low voice, "Calm in the abyss, the feeling of relief is released, and the whole picture is dismantled, the VR game's real killer's footprints and blood type are shattered and not present. The murderer hides both the real and the real. The killing game is finally shattered. The growth is endless, and the future is unlimited." Everyone roared with victory and the hot air sprayed in their throats. The red lights of the SWAT rotors were patrolling and tearing apart the curtain. The world was changed because of Li Xiu's crushing. The boundaries between reality and reality were redrawn with the light of ethics. The readers' hearts were filled with contentment like a tornado of green vines. Shen Qingqing cried intermittently at the terminal, "The counterattack is complete. The source of my black vines is melted, the database is empty, and the evidence of the third case is forever destroyed. Sir Li, ambush the reality, run." The roar of the pulsating beast underground in the building shakes the ground, and the rubble rolls down. The 110 countdown to the bomb murmurs like a death knell. Outside the rain curtain, helicopters swarm swooping down with bloody eyes, the iron sound of the guards' boots approaching, the black cloud of crisis presses down on the iron claws to strangle the throat, and the gasps turn into ghosts crying and wolf howling.